the full-time mage. The extreme lightning. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 801 Arrest Warrant. Dean Perry of Alps, in the Dean's office. Tang Mao, what are you doing here in Alps this time? Dean Perry stared at Tang Mao with a locked gaze. It was because Hedy was not here, otherwise there would be another person to negotiate with. Hedy seemed to have returned to her own family, as if she was summoned by the family. Tang Mao looked at Dean Perry, the old fox teacher Jia-lan, and Bran Ki, who was silent, but attracted all his attention. Of course I came to see them, otherwise what else can I do? Tang Mao said puzzledly. I won't give you the child. Even if I die, I won't. Bran Ki said hurriedly when she heard it. When she said this, Dean Perry also stared at Tang Mao, full of vigilance and defense. Tang Mao looked at Bran Ki with a confused face, and then said, I only care about one thing, that is, it's good if his surname is Tang. As for the matter of snatching the child, I don't know how you think of it. Am I so bad in your heart? If it were in the past, Bran Ki would definitely nod and respond seriously. After all, since she met him, Bran Ki didn't think he was a good bird. At the beginning, Tang Mao's image in her mind was arrogant and ignorant of the depth of the world. From the perspective of the exchanges between Alpine Academy and any other academy, this person from China is extremely annoying. After that, Tang Mao and Hedy got entangled. This was her negligence. She felt that she had harmed Hedy and was even more sorry for Jia-lan. It's not that she didn't think about taking Tang Mao back to be dealt with. Unfortunately, the other party's arrogance is indeed powerful. Bran Ki has been teaching for many years, but she has never met a perverted student like Tang Mao. She forgot that she was the same when she was a student. What's more, she didn't expect that not long after, she actually followed Hedy's path. What's worse than her is that she is pregnant. With all these things, how can Bran Ki have a good impression of him? But now, Tang Mao didn't mean to compete with her for her beloved, so Bran Ki was relieved. Then why did you come here with such a fanfare? Dean Perry was actually very confused. The main reason was that Tang Mao had made such a big scene. The crack in the sky was so shocking. It was beyond their understanding of magic. Well, the previous one was a space gate I created myself. I just wanted to get here faster, and there was no other intention. Tang Mao shrugged and explained. So it was because of this that he was suspected. Then you just came to see the child? Dean Perry was still a little unconvinced. Dean Perry, do you think you have anything worth me lying to you? Tang Mao said dissatisfiedly. She felt that she was a forbidden spell. Where did she get the courage to think that she was lying to her? Dean Perry paused. This was full of insults, but she couldn't refute it. After all, the other party's strength was here. Humph. In the end, Dean Perry stopped talking. Jia-lan didn't participate either. Tang Mao then looked at Bran Ki. Have you named the child? Bran Ki paused, then shook her head. It's not that she didn't think about giving him a name, but Tang Mao once asked Hedy to pass on the message that no matter which country the child was in, he had to have the surname Tang, so Bran gave up giving him a name. Then he will be called Tang Yan in the future. Tang Mao continued. After all, he is her only offspring at present. No matter how she spends her time, he has descendants in this world. And in the holy daughter country of Alps, Yan is obviously very suitable. For them who don't know much about Chinese culture, they don't know the meaning of it. But under the pressure of the situation, Bran nodded and agreed when Dean Perry and Jia-lan looked at her. The person in front of her is no longer the same as before. There is no benefit in making enemies with him, whether for Alpine Academy or for her personally. But Tang Mao didn't mean to use force to oppress him. Even if he was not a human being, he would not do this. Then can I go see him? Tang Mao asked again with a pleading tone. It was rare to see him like this, and Dean Perry thought to himself, I thought this brat wouldn't say soft words. Jia-lan pulled Dean Perry, indicating that the two of them could leave first. Dean Perry thought about it and agreed. In the current situation, even if they stared at Tang Mao here, it would actually be useless. She still had some idea of how powerful a forbidden spell mage was. Just as the two of them walked out of her office and came downstairs, they saw several judges of the Court of Dissenters waving their winged magic tools and appearing in the sky above. Among them was Tang Mao's old acquaintance, Mola. But this time, Mola was not the leader. The leader was an elderly man with a goatee. Although he looked nearly 6 or 7 years old, for some reason, he was still in a state of vigor and energy. He didn't feel like he was in his twilight years at all. Priest Riad, I was absolutely not mistaken just now. The one who appeared above the Alpine Academy was Tang Mao. Mola was already very unhappy with Tang Mao. It just so happened that the chief speakers of the 4 continent magic associations issued a warrant for his arrest. As for why, Mola didn't know. But what he knew was that as soon as he found the other party, he would immediately send them a message. Reed nodded and continued, I asked you to notify the people of the 4 continent magic associations. Have you notified them? Don't worry, Lord Reed, I have already notified them. However, it will take them an hour to get here. Mola responded respectfully. After the incident of the Asian Magic Association, the other 4 continent magic associations also realized something. Although the words were like that to the people. But here, the news they got was naturally the most real. Since that day, each continent of the 4 continent magic associations has sent a deputy speaker level figure to China to arrest Tang Mao in person. But Tang Mao was not in China, and before Tang Mao was captured, Yuxu New City and others would naturally not move. There was no way, even if the 4 continent magic associations didn't want him to exist, they didn't dare to do things too radically. Especially at this time, when China is at war with the Sirens. Even if they act overbearingly, they cannot easily wipe out a family. At least they have to meet Tang Mao to see if he is willing to plead guilty. If he does not plead guilty, then the nature is different. When Perry and Jia came out and saw people in the uniforms of the Holy Court and the Court of the Others appear in the sky, they were also a little confused. They didn't understand why these people came here. Cardamola, I wonder what you are doing here? Although Dean Perry didn't know why the other party came, he still greeted him in the air. Dean Perry, I'm Riad, and I'm here only to arrest Tang Mao. It has nothing to do with your Alpine Academy, so please hand him over. The Alpine Academy is quite famous internationally, so even if the priest came in person, he still explained it. Chapter 802, Arresting Tang Mao, 2 in 1. Dean Perry was also stunned when she heard what Priest Reed said, but she quickly came back to her senses and asked, I wonder what he did. Priest Reed looked at Dean Perry and said indifferently, don't ask if you shouldn't ask. Dean Perry shut up instantly. Her status is not low, but she is nothing in front of the people of the Holy Tribunal. As the top international forces, they have their own authority and tyranny. Even those who stop the Holy Tribunal's mission, even if they are killed, are dead in vain. In the house, Tang Mao originally wanted to go see his son with Branki. But Branki noticed the movement outside. How could he not know? It seems that I don't have time to see him, so let's talk about it next time we have a chance. Tang Mao said softly. What did you do? Why did the people of the Holy Tribunal come to you? Branki stared at Tang Mao and asked puzzledly. Nothing, just challenging the rotten rules and regulations of this world. Tang Mao's understated words made Bran Concubine feel like being struck by lightning. They in the Alps do not get involved in world disputes, but living in the territory of the Holy Inquisition, they are not ignorant. The man in front of him is simply provoking the strongest fighting force of several continents of mankind. How can you be so reckless? Don't you know that Vente, the son of the Greek Parthenon, is famous all over the world and finally, you. Bran Concubine didn't know what to say for a while. Are you worried about me? Tang Mao ignored her accusation and asked. I'm just worried that my child will be implicated. Bran Concubine said without hesitation. Worried about Tang Mao? What are you thinking? Tang Mao naturally knew it, but he still wanted to hear a lie like a scoundrel. But unfortunately, he didn't deserve to hear a lie. Don't worry, my affairs will not implicate anyone. If anyone hurts you and your daughter in the slightest, I will let the world be buried with you. Without a trace of anger or any other emotions, the gentle words made Branki fall into silence. However, before she could respond, Tang Mao had already left the house. Branki reacted and looked at the place where Tang Mao disappeared. She could not forget the words just now for a long time. Although it was very demonic, it gave Branki a sense of security. Over the Alps, when Reed was about to shout Tang Mao out, he suddenly stood in the center surrounded by a group of holy judges. Tang Mao's sudden appearance shocked even Reed. He, who was a double system forbidden spell, did not even notice any spatial fluctuations, and Tang Mao appeared. He suddenly thought of the serious attitude of the chief priest when he received the task before. Reed thought silently in his heart, the person in front of him is indeed not simple. Do you have something to do with me? After Tang Mao appeared, he looked at Reed, who had the strongest magic fluctuation among the group of people. Are you Tang Mao? Reed asked in a low voice. You're not even sure who I am, but you're just surrounding me. It seems that the Holy Court of Inquisition is not that great. Tang Mao said with a look of disdain. How dare you insult the Holy Court of Inquisition? You want to. Mola had long wanted to kill Tang Mao. Seeing that he was so arrogant in front of the priest, he was ready to fan the flames. But unexpectedly, when he was about to give a long speech, he suddenly felt a suffocating pressure that strangled his neck, and then he fell from a high altitude. A bang sounded in the courtyard of the Alpine Academy. Mola is a leader among superclass mages, and even Dean Perry is not his opponent at all. But who would have thought that someone as strong as Mola would be just an ant at this moment? He was thrown to death like this. He didn't even have time to use his magic tools. Or, he might not even have the opportunity to use them. How dare you? Reed was furious when he saw a judge of the Court of Inquisition being killed in front of him. In front of him, a dignified priest, the judge was killed like this. If he didn't take down Tang Mao today, he should retire. You called your M. Why don't you just do it when you come to take me? Are you playing words with me? The Holy Court and the Court of Extraordinary Justice were dispatched together, so they definitely didn't come to talk to me about ideals. Since they are here to arrest me, why should Tang Mao be polite? As the saying goes, if you want to accuse someone of a crime, you can always find a pretext. Since they have come, and there is such a big battle, it is naturally a life and death situation. He hates nonsense the most, especially the smaller. He wants to kill himself, so why don't he want to kill him too? However, when Red was about to make a move, Tang Mao suddenly said, in such a sacred place, you are also ready to make a move. Sure enough, a powerful priest is also a killing maniac. Red paused after hearing this. Who the hell killed first? Although he despised Tang Mao's shamelessness as a priest and a dual system forbidden spell mage, he knew that if he fought here, the Alpine Academy would really be destroyed. It's not that he cares about these, but he is still unwilling to do so, unless he has to, because once he does that, he needs to kill all the people in the Alpine Academy. Yes, you are right, this is a way for the world's most powerful forces to maintain their face. But after really doing that, the news that comes out must be that the evil Tang Mao did it, and they can only blame themselves in a false way. You can't escape. Riot didn't make a move, but looked at Tang Mao and said, what a joke, with you guys. If I still need to escape, there would be no Asian Magic Association killing Sulu. Tang Mao was still full of sarcasm. Not to mention, when they heard the word Sulu, many holy judges and alien judges were shocked. In fact, they didn't know who Tang Mao was. How could they, who all claimed to be the best among men, care about such a young boy? But Sulu's words naturally made the people of these top forces very clear. The chief of the Asian Magic Association, the most influential king in Asia. But they didn't expect that the powerful forbidden spell mage would be killed by the person in front of them. If Tang Mao had come out, naturally no one would believe that this was true. But now it's different. Molo's strength is definitely average among this group of people. And even if some top mages want to deal with him, it's not easy. But Tang Mao killed him with one blow. They couldn't believe that this was true. After Tang Mao finished speaking, he didn't care about what these people thought, and flew directly to the distance. Seeing this, Reed followed him, and the holy judge mages also came back to their senses, and followed him out immediately. After they all left, Dean Perry and teacher Jia-Lan came back to their senses. Dean Perry, this. Jia-Lan didn't know what to say for a while. Compared to Perry and Bran, who were not optimistic about Tang Mao, Jia-Lan was the opposite. She always felt that Tang Mao's future achievements would be shocking. She was not wrong, but she never thought that he would be so reckless. If it was before, the Alpine Academy might be able to help him. After all, they also had connections in the Holy Court. But now, I'm afraid no one can protect him, right? This is no longer something we can get involved in. Dean Perry shook his head and looked into the distance. After leaving the Alpine Academy, they came to a continuous forest. This is the Alps. This used to be a forbidden area for the Alpine Academy because there were many cute little rabbits here. But now, everyone knows that these cute little rabbits are in great trouble. But even the Alpine Academy, which has rules, did not dare to stop their fight. Speaking of which, Dean Perry was already grateful that Tang Mao could lead the mages of the Holy Court away from here. After leaving the territory of the Alpine Academy, Tang Mao stopped. He really wasn't afraid of this group of people. Tang Mao, this priest said, you can't run away today. Follow us back to the Holy Court to be punished and take responsibility. After the priestry had caught up, Justice said sternly, if I want to run, can you catch up with me? As Tang Mao finished speaking, thunder suddenly gathered around him. Thunderbolt. There was no star map, constellation, or even the flickering of the star palace. It was just a thought, and dense thunders gathered on this mountain forest. Reed and his Holy Court mage and alien mage were trapped in the thunder. Reed was a little surprised when he saw this. Such a powerful magic, the other party actually came with it. This was the first time he encountered such a weird talented magician. Everyone be careful, Reed reminded him, and put on a high quality armor magic tool. At this time, thunders also began to fall all over the sky. Boom. Boom. They were obviously tiny lightning snakes, but the moment they landed beside him, the power they unleashed was simply unprecedented. I guess even the forbidden spell of thunder is only this powerful, right? Some of the holy judge mages wearing top grade armor and magic tools barely saved their lives, but were severely injured by the thunder. And Red, the forbidden spell mage, was burned by the thunder, but he was fast enough to complete the magic defense and matched the top grade magic tools he wore before. But with just one blow, he had already consumed 2 magic tools and was also injured. Looking around, the team that was so powerful before now only had 4 top level mages left in the air. But their situation was not good either, and their bodies seemed to be paralyzed. The Gate of Hell, Hellfire Stone. Since they had already taken action, it was natural that magic bombardment would follow one after another. Either don't attack, or don't give the other party any chance to breathe. In the sky, the doors of the Hell of Fire opened one after another, and large pieces of flaming meteorites fell from the sky. They were like meteorites that destroyed the earth, and just their momentum made some top mages feel that their lives were in danger. Starry Sea Universe. Fortunately, Reed had already completed his magic in the bombing just now. At the moment, when the flaming meteorites fell, a sea of stars emerged above them, and then the sea of stars took in the purgatory meteorites of the disaster that fell from the sky. But what Reed didn't expect was that the opponent's firepower, even if it was not as powerful as the thunder system, was several times more powerful than an ordinary person with a heavenly seed. Boom. Swish boom. The Starry Sea Universe continued to collapse, and Reed hurriedly shouted, "Get out of here." He could see that there was no advantage in fighting with Tang Mao with more people. Especially the mages under the forbidden spell. Even if there were more of them, they would only be killed by random bombardment. Those top mages had already turned pale with fear when the thunderbolts were intensive. Now, hearing Red's words, they naturally did not hesitate at all. At the same time as they left, Red also moved away from here in an instant. Boom. The moment the Hellfire Stone exploded on the ground, the sea of fire shot up into the sky. Red wanted to run again, but Tang Mao's figure appeared in the sea of fire. Yinreo. Meteorite Dragon Purgatory Fist. Tang Mao interrupted the other party's constellation description directly. He was faster, and he was even faster. The next moment, bang, a punch hit the other party's stomach firmly. The flames penetrated his body, and Red was knocked down directly. Shadow Evil. Kill. After knocking the other party away, Tang Mao glanced at the few holy judge mages who wanted to escape, and directly ordered Shadow Evil. Now that it has the strength of a pseudo-emperor, a few top mages are really not taken seriously. After Shadow Evil received the order, he left Tang Mao's body and disappeared behind him. At the same time, Fei Lan also suddenly appeared. Since they are already here, let's teach them a profound lesson at once. Otherwise, do they really think they are soft persimmons? Yingxia and Filian chased the injured top mages, while Tang Mao went to the Broken Mountain. The forbidden spell mage was naturally not someone he could kill with just one punch. The other party should be completing the forbidden spell. But if he went to Asia, the forbidden spell might have made him afraid, but now. Haha, the power of the forbidden spell is as destructive as his own magic power. With such confidence, Tang Mao would ignore it and order Yingxia and the others to deal with the top mages. Forbidden spell of wind, annihilation. Just as Tang Mao approached, Reid also jumped out of the pile of rocks with a bang. Just as Tang Mao thought, the other party was completing the forbidden spell. Ice and Fire Phoenix Slash. Seeing that the other party used the forbidden spell, Tang Mao also quickly completed the magic fusion. The previous Ice Phoenix and Fire Phoenix no longer formed a soul shadow body this time, but gathered into a huge red and blue sword. Waving the sword in his hand, the power of the two element of ice and fire were absorbed crazily. As Tang Mao raised it high, Reid immediately felt the fear of death. This feeling, I don't know how many years it has been since I had it, but now, he really felt it. It was so real. Reid forced himself to calm down. At this moment, panic would only lead to death, so he no longer thought about taking down Tang Mao. Instead, when the opponent was about to confront his forbidden spell head-on, the Wings of Wind appeared behind Reid, and the Wing Magic Tool and the Wings of Wind were perfectly integrated together, and then he was on the mountain wall hundreds of miles away. And Tang Mao, who had already raised the Ice and Fire Phoenix sword, slashed at the destructive storm that destroyed the mountain. Boom. P.S. I couldn't finish the story in the latest chapter, so I wrote it into a big chapter. Chapter 803, Chasing the Forbidden Spell. Buzz, buzz buzz buzz. First there was the sound of magic bombing, and then the sound of the earth shaking spread throughout the entire Swedish Alps Academy in an instant. Even though they were hundreds of miles away from here, they were still implicated. Even the magic defense array that the students had put up to stop them was broken in an instant. But Dean Perry didn't bother to check the casualties of the students, but stared at the distance. Her mental power was also very strong, and she could clearly sense the battle, even if it was 100 miles away. Although the previous perception was defeated by the forbidden spell, Dean Perry did not suffer any serious damage at such a long distance. When she noticed that Tang Mao was standing there, as if nothing had happened, while Priest Reid was covered in wounds, the expression on her face was really quite wonderful. After Jia-Lan and some directors and professors confirmed that the students had only suffered some superficial injuries, they all rushed over. Concubine Bran was naturally here, but Tang Yan was not in her arms. Instead, he was held by Shirley. Cheryl is Branki's student. It's natural for her to take care of Tang Yan at this time. Dean Perry, what happened to the elemental destruction just now? Branki was the first to ask. She didn't know why she was concerned about whether Tang Mao was dead or not. She didn't even know what she would think when she heard that Tang Mao was killed, and what she would think if she was alive. But at this moment, she just wanted to know the situation there. But her cultivation was not enough. And getting close to there, Branki felt that she was not worthy. I have never dared to imagine that someone can be so powerful, let alone that there are people in this world who dare to provoke the Holy Court of Justice. Dean Perry shook his head and said in shock. However, she did not respond to Branki. Or rather, she was completely shocked and didn't hear what Branki asked at all. And listening to the meaning of her words, everyone actually understood that Rampant Man did not die, but the Holy Court of Justice, a force that cannot be provoked, suffered heavy damage this time, right? The expressions on the faces of several old women were extremely exciting. To be honest, if they were not afraid of being affected, they really wanted to go and watch. After all, a person may not see this level of battle once in his life, right? Look, it's the priest of the Holy Court. At this moment, a voice came from the school. For these students, they didn't know what happened. But when they saw the people in the priest's clothes appeared, they all looked relieved. Because the priests who can wear such clothes are all real strong ones. They are the top combat power of mankind. Oh my god, what kind of demon is it that actually let out the forbidden spell wizard? The power just now is really terrifying. If it weren't for the dean and the others, we might have been shattered by this impact. The innocent female students thought it was some unforgivable demon who was provoking and making trouble here. Now seeing the appearance of the priest, they are naturally relieved. Unfortunately, they had been dining in the restaurant before, but they didn't know that there was a priest before that. Dean Perry naturally didn't explain anything, but just locked his eyes on the dusty battlefield in the distance. 2 priests were dispatched, which hadn't happened in many years. Branky hesitated for a moment, looked at Jailan beside him and said, "Should we tell the Huakshapal Academy?" Jailan shook his head and sighed. The priests have already been dispatched. In addition to Tang Mao's killing of Mola before, and the movement just now, he has committed an unforgivable crime. After hearing this, Branky fell into silence again. Looking back at Tang Yan in Shirley's arms, she felt a sense of apology in her heart. Although she didn't like Tang Mao and hated Tang Mao, she was an orphan since childhood, and she still hoped that her children would not lack close relatives in the future. But now it seems that it may really be impossible. Mountainous forest area. Oh. The forest at this time is no longer a forest. Under the destruction of several magics, it has become a wasteland, and a large area of the mountains has been destroyed. Waste, why are you running? Aren't you here to catch me? Tang Mao stayed in the air, looking at Riyad, who didn't dare to fight him head on, and said with great disdain. Tang Mao originally thought that his speed was absolutely unmatched in this world, but he didn't expect that this damn wing magic tool plus the speed of the wind wings would be faster than himself. He really has a small pattern. The world is so big that there are really nothing strange. The dignified priest, who had a majestic look before, can only run away with his head in his arms now. Don't mention how depressed he is. But it's hard to just fight. That's obviously not a forbidden spell, but its power crushes the forbidden spell. Riyad's task is to delay, and this is the territory of the Holy Court. He doesn't believe that there is such a big movement here, and the chief priest has no reaction. Devil, why are you so anxious? The battle between you and this priest has just begun. The priest Riyad was also defeated. Extremely cold frost fog. Tang Mao didn't know that he wanted to delay him. This was the Holy Court of Inquisition, and old monsters would come to support him at any time. But he couldn't leave now. This shameless old man was like a fly. If he hit me, he would run away. If he walked, he would attack. Seeing the frost condensing into hail and the cold fog spreading everywhere, Riyad quickly rose into the sky. Rough seeing this person who was threatening one second and cowardly like a husky the next second. He couldn't help but use civilized and polite words. The other party was also an old man and didn't care about being scolded. He chose to ignore it directly. At this time, the battle between Fei Lion and Aisha had ended, and the two of them came to help besiege Riyad. It was difficult to deal with Tang Mao alone, but who knew that there were actually 2 pseudo-emperor level demons? Exclamation mark. The 3 parties attacked together. Red was fast enough, but he was still attacked frequently. If this continued, he really needed to evacuate. Otherwise, he might lose his life. Red, you old guy are getting more and more useless. Just when Red wanted to escape, a voice came from the sky. Hearing the voice, Red paused. He was unhappy at first, but soon he laughed again. Kaz, stop talking nonsense there. This kid's magic is very strange. Come to help quickly. Red asked for help. Humph, a mere top level wizard has forced you to this point. He is incompetent. As the voice fell, an old man dressed exactly like Red suddenly appeared. Seeing another forbidden spell coming, Tang Mao thought to himself, damn it, how many forbidden spells does the Holy Court have? There are not many superclass wizards in this world. There are not many top level wizards in this world. There are not many forbidden spell wizards in this world. It's not that there are not many, but these bastards only think about the little land in their hands. They don't care about the harm caused by demons at all. Tang Mao is not a nosy person, but he doesn't think that everything he does is right. However, he feels that he has done nothing wrong in killing Sulo and the Holy Judge. The corrupt people in power should be purged. But in fact, he also knows that power will make people lost. Even if a group of people are replaced, such a situation will still occur. Just like him, although he doesn't like power, he likes beautiful women. When he had Tang Yu, he thought he was satisfied. Later, he had relationships with Nunujio and Muningsu, and he still felt that it was enough. But after embarking on the journey of the national government, he felt that his heart was really big. The beautiful girls in the world are so outstanding, who can match them except him? Even now, the number of people who have had relationships with him, those who have not had relationships with him, and those who have relationships with him is already even. But is he really satisfied? Isn't Shaka an exception? Then again, if these people don't come to cause trouble for him, he won't bother to care about the future of this world. Life is short, and grass and trees are withered in autumn. Even if the race is extinct, it will never happen in this generation. It's a pity that, even if he doesn't want to provoke these people sometimes, these people can't tolerate him. When you have strength, or that unmatched strength, and surpass the conventional strength, from the moment, you are destined to stand on the opposite side of some ambitious people. You two bastards, I suddenly don't want to kill you so much. Why don't you be my dogs, and I will take you to conquer the world. Tang Mao said to the arrogant old man. When he said this, both of them paused for 3 seconds. Then, the arrogant old man suddenly laughed wildly. Even the embarrassed Riyad was the same. You little brat, do you know how big the world is? The arrogant old man even ignored Tang Mao's words, that he was a dog, and then said disdainfully, you are the first young man who can talk nonsense like this. This priest has seen. You dogs don't know what's good for you, so go and die. Tang Mao was very unhappy. He didn't even use his real strength. I really don't know where these two idiots got their confidence from. Didn't the Magic Association tell them that he had fought with the Dark King when they asked them to arrest him? However, what Tang Mao didn't know was that the Holy Court was also familiar with the Dark King. You know, their dark punishment is the first beast under the Dark King. The Dark King has so many clones, and his strength is also at the stage of ordinary emperors. Even in the human world, he can only play the strength of a pseudo-emperor. Moreover, with the involvement of the Archangel Gabriel, they are more willing to believe that Tang Mao is dealing with just an ordinary elementary Dark Emperor. This is a misunderstanding. The most important thing is that Tang Mao's trump card was not used at all. The restrictions of the demons no longer existed when they reached the super level perfection. In fact, as long as the energy of the demon bead is sufficient, or the spirit is sufficient, he can become a demon at any time. This is also the reason why Tang Mao is still fearless, even though he knows that this is the territory of the Holy Court. As soon as the voice fell, his figure disappeared in an instant. Seeing this, Red immediately became alert. The arrogant old man Kaz said disdainfully, Red, you are really embarrassing my priest mage. Boom. Before he finished mocking, he felt the thunder of destruction coming down. If Red hadn't taken him to dodge, even if the thunder just now didn't seriously injure him, it would have destroyed at least 2 or 3 of his top grade magic tools. Kaz looked at Tang Mao with a cold sweat, and asked Red behind him in disbelief, is he really a top level mage? I told you a long time ago that this kid is weird. As he said that, Red suddenly dodged to another place. Because Fairy Lion had just attacked them, Kaz had lost his pride. There was nothing he could do. The slap in the face came too quickly. Be careful. This kid is not only strong in himself, but he also has the help of a pseudo-emperor level beast and creatures from the Dark Plane. Riyad reminded again. Kaz only then noticed that in addition to Fairy Lion, there was actually a dark creature. When he came before, he was arrogant, but now he has been very alert. You two old dogs, get out of here if you don't want to fight. If you make me angry, I will destroy your whole family. Tang Mao was really angry about this unbeatable opponent, and he even wanted to use the power of the devil. If it were usual, the difference between the two would stimulate Tang Mao, but the opponent had such strength at such a young age, and he also had the help of a pseudo-emperor level demon and dark creatures. The two old men who were half buried in the ground really had no temper at all. After all, if the encirclement and suppression was not successful this time, I'm afraid that there would really be no descendants in the future. At their age and status, they naturally pay more attention to their descendants. However, although the two were afraid, they did not mean to make way for Tang Mao. because the reinforcement from the 4 continent magic associations were also rushing here. The world only knows that the people of the Holy Court and the Court of Dissenters are all monsters, but who really knows that the people in the magic associations of the continents are the real strong ones? Since they overthrew the leaders of the mythical beasts of various countries and became the masters of mankind, they have truly controlled the world. Even angels need to accept the dispatch and management of the magic association. However, the struggles in the magic associations are also quite intense, and this time, the reason why the magic associations of several continents united was not because of anything else, but because Tang Mao gave them a sense of crisis. The destruction of the Master of Asia is a wake-up call. A wake-up call that threatens their rule. The mission of the Holy Court this time is just to find someone to contain and report. So the two of them have explored Tang Mao's strength, so why would they confront him? Kaz asked, how long will it take them to arrive? If you take me with you, it's very likely that both of us will be caught in the gap. A person's speed is very fast, but when a fast person takes a word with him, it will be another matter. Kaz is really panicking now. He doesn't even dare to describe the forbidden spell. He can only cast some superclass magic and magic above the superclass to restrain them, but Tang Mao was easily resolved by his attack. How can he not panic? When I notified them before, they said that they could get here in an hour. Now more than an hour has passed. Maybe it will be fast. Riyad replied. Seeing the two people dodging continuously and hearing their communication, Tang Mao also frowned. He didn't expect that these two guys who can cast forbidden spells alone are just appetizers? Question mark? Chapter 804. Threat? You chose the wrong person. He finally understood. No wonder he had fought with him before, but suddenly he didn't fight him head on. So he was afraid of being defeated. He didn't want to run away, so he was delaying himself. These two forbidden spells are really shameless. But even if he knew, what could he do? Tang Mao couldn't leave, even if he wanted to. These two people were just like flies. They can't hurt you, but they will annoy you. And who are they are talking about? Tang Mao can guess without thinking. They should be people from the Magic Association of the 4 continents. In this world, apart from those who control everything, he can't think of anyone else who can come to arrest him. After all, he caused trouble in the Asian Magic Association and killed Sulu, the local emperor of Asia. Although he had guessed that the magic associations of the several continents would not let him go, he didn't expect it to be so fast. He didn't know how his Yuxu new city was now. After knowing the situation, Tang Mao didn't do it again. Instead, he took back Fei Lian and Yingsha. Instead of wasting magic energy with these two people who are trying to take advantage of the situation, it is better to wait for them to come together and then deal with them together. Seeing Fei Lian and Yingsha disappear, Riyad and Kaz were also confused. You two stupid dogs, if you don't dare to fight, just stand aside. I'll wait for your reinforcement here. Tang Mao said with contempt. Both of them blushed. They didn't expect Tang Mao to know their intentions. Two powerful forbidden spell mages, who were strong enough to perform forbidden spells independently, were now looked at with such contempt. To be honest, both of them were very unhappy. But when they thought of Tang Mao's strength, they felt that this era no longer belonged to them. There was nothing to continue to fight for strength. So, the two of them were silent directly, as if as long as the two of us were not ashamed or embarrassed, you would be embarrassed. But Tang Mao didn't care at all. He didn't plan to run away at all. To deal with such a person in power, you have to use absolute strength to scare them. Beat them until they tremble when they hear their names. Otherwise, endless troubles and his own Yuxu city will become Tang Mao's main headache. The two looked at Tang Mao sitting in the void, not moving, and really waiting for their reinforcement. They just wanted to jump up and curse. Who is he looking down on? The two priests are here, and you, Tang Mao, a criminal, are just sitting there without any defense? Kaz, don't be impulsive. Red saw that Kaz's arrogance was about to be trampled on the ground, and knew that he would definitely go crazy, but he still hurried to stop him. The blade of destruction just now was really too fresh in his memory. Therefore, even with Kaz, he didn't dare to use the two forbidden spells. Kaz gritted his teeth in anger, but seeing Tang Mao's confident look, he finally loosened his clenched fist. After all, no one knows what the consequences of this move will be. He didn't know if he could bear the consequences. More than 10 minutes later, the two forbidden spells were still standing at a safe distance, and Tangmao was sitting in the void, with no intention of moving at all. Here they come. At this moment, Reed suddenly sensed something and spoke hurriedly. Similarly, Kaz and Tangmao also noticed it. Sure. As soon as he finished speaking, the mages who seemed to be hundreds of miles away, or even farther away, suddenly came here one by one quickly. Speaking of which, if the elemental riots here were not unstable, they might not have found it. After all, it was too quiet here. The strength of each of the 7 newcomers was almost stronger than Reed and Kaz, only stronger. Even the westerner in the front, his aura was almost the same as that of the humans Tangmao knew. Only Sulu might be almost the same. Priest Kaz, Priest Reed, what are you two doing? After the man arrived, he looked at the situation nearby, then looked at Tangmao who was sitting there, and then looked at Kaz and the others. He wanted to know what was going on. Chairman and Jaina, this is the person you are looking for, Tangmao. It's just that his strength is beyond our imagination, and the two of us are not his opponents. Reed was not ashamed and said truthfully, Humph, a young boy actually made 2 priests helpless. It seems that the holy court is becoming more and more useless. A white-haired old man said with disdain. They have suffered enough contempt today, and the 2 old guys obviously don't care much. Damoa, since you think you can do it, then go and get the person. Kaz snorted coldly. The old man called Damoa disappeared immediately after hearing this. After a fluctuation in the space, he appeared in front of Tangmao. Boy. Before he could speak, Tangmao, who had been holding back his anger for a long time, suddenly condensed a blade of ice and fire in his hands. The ice and fire blades were raised high in the sky, and the surrounding space seemed to be in a closed state. The old man named Damoa was even locked in it. Bang! The knife came down and hit the opponent's body firmly. Of course, he used magic tools, but the power of ice and fire fusion was too shocking. Even though he used the magic tools in time, he was still smashed to the ground. With a bang, a deep pit was smashed. He didn't even have the chance to use a magic tool to protect his body, and he didn't have the chance to release magic. Thunder punishment 5 thunders hit the top of the head. However, Tangmao didn't give up. The element that was still unstable just now were suddenly mobilized by Tangmao. Then the lightning fell straight into the deep pit. Boom. A burst of purple light flashed on the ground. It was originally just a human-shaped pit, but now it collapsed into a semicircle of dozens of meters. As for the Damoa who was just pretending to be cool, he was completely gone, and his life or death was uncertain. Looking at this scene, Kaz was sweating on the back of his head. All this was too sudden. This kid has no martial ethics at all. He seemed to be sitting there, but he didn't expect that the other party was actually holding back. Kaz looked at Reed with some gratitude. If it weren't for him, he might have been killed just now. Just 10 minutes ago, he still wanted to go over. But if he really went over, would he still be alive? Didn't you see Inyana didn't move from the moment Tangmao attacked to the end? Did he really want to watch the other party die? Maybe that's right, but he didn't have the opportunity to attack at all, which was also true. Tangmao searched for a while, but found that the other party was not dead yet. There was still a faint breath, and then his figure flashed and appeared on the ground the next moment. In an instant, he came to the opposite side of the people in the sky. Inyana and the other 5 forbidden spells, as well as Red and Kaz, all looked at Tangmao stupidly, not understanding what he was going to do. Tangmao, Asian. Inyana looked at Tangmao and told him all his information. Even the people related to him were all told. Tangmao was not surprised by this. The 5-Continent Magic Association was the real ruler of this world. If they wanted to inquire about something, it would be a matter of minutes. What's more, this time they were united. Speaking of it, he was quite proud. After all, he was the one wanted by the 5-Continent Magic Association and the Holy Court. After Inyana finished speaking, Tangmao said, "Old man, you said a lot of gibberish. I don't know what you want to express." It can be seen that Tangmao did not have the slightest emotional fluctuation, not even a trace of nervousness. It's a pity that they still don't understand him. Otherwise, it can still be seen that he pinched Damoa's hand and was even harder. that Damo was already useless, and he saved his life with the most precious magic tool. But the power of that attack was so strong that it was rare in his life. Even some emperors and demons might not be able to launch such a terrifying attack, right? In addition, Tang Mao pinched his neck, so even if he felt like dying, he couldn't speak, and even his hands and feet couldn't move. And Jaina was also a little surprised that Tang Mao would be so indifferent. He said, "Tang Mao, we know everything about you. Surrender, otherwise, your Yuxu city will still." Before Jaina could continue, he first heard Damo's last cry, and then a grabber sound came out, and then Tang Mao let go, and Damo was thrown out by Tang Mao like garbage. Looking at the angry look of everyone, Tang Mao said coldly, "So, you want to threaten me? Do you want your woman to die with you?" And Jaina's face was terribly dark. He didn't expect the other party to be so disrespectful to him. Although when he found out about Tang Mao, he knew that this was a person who was not bound by any constraints. But in his opinion, everyone has weaknesses. He believed that Tang Mao was the same. But, before he could continue to think, Tang Mao said again, "Do you understand the saying, don't let the family be harmed?" Are you afraid now?" And Jaina said with a sullen face and no smile, "No, no, no." Tang Mao shook his head, and then he said in a very calm voice, "I'm just telling you that I might be very sad if you touch them. But I'm not the kind of person who will be threatened by others, nor am I the kind of person who will give up my life for anyone. If you touch one of me, I will destroy your clan. If you touch one of my cities, I will kill as many magic associations as there are in the 5 continents. How about it? Do you want to try it?" When he said these words, there was no anger on his face, but he said it with a smile. And this smile, in the eyes of these people, is like a curse. This is the first time someone dared to threaten them openly, but when they saw Tang Mao kill Damo in seconds, they believed that what he said was true. Moreover, if they fail to take him down today, their glorious family in the future may be destroyed. "Seeing that you are so confident in taking me down, I guess you have already sent someone to do it? In that case, I have no interest in playing with you anymore. Wait for the corpses to be collected." As Tang Mao spoke, his figure began to become illusory. Even several people could immediately feel that Tang Mao seemed to disappear at any time. It was really like he was gone. This was the first time they had encountered such a thing. Seeing this, Reed hurriedly said, "No, stop, wait a minute. No one will touch the hair of the people you know." After seeing Tang Mao's method just now, let alone destroying a clan, even a city would be easy. Under the forbidden spell, in front of such a person, it was just a number. But, where in this world are there so many forbidden spells? These old guys are not afraid of death, but their descendants are different. They are the future hopes of each of their families. How could Reed not panic? Seeing that half of Tang Mao's body had disappeared here, Reed's eyes were red, and he looked at Jaina hurriedly and said, "We are responsible for arresting him, and we didn't touch his people." To be honest, although he also thought that Tang Mao's skill was just a skill that could only hide himself for a short time, but he couldn't see through it, and didn't dare to gamble. And Jaina also said at this time, "Tang Mao, we didn't touch your city or your people, but if you want to run, then we'll die together." Even he was afraid. He himself was not afraid of Tang Mao, but it didn't mean that his descendants were not afraid of Tang Mao. Maybe other people's relatives are not easy to find, but they are different. Their popularity is too high. But Jaina is a speaker level existence, one of the top in the Magic Association. How can he allow himself to bow his head and surrender like a young boy? "That's it, and you still threaten me?" Tang Mao's illusory figure materialized again and said contemptuously. In fact, he really couldn't leave immediately. Otherwise, why would he waste time here with Reed and Kaz? "I underestimated you, but even if you don't surrender, do you think you can survive today?" Although Jaina was shocked by the power that Tang Mao had just used, he didn't come here alone. In addition, he still had 8 forbidden spells. Moreover, they were all forbidden spell mages with dual systems or above. In this situation, he didn't think Tang Mao could leave alive. As long as he didn't run, everything would be much easier. Threat that also requires him to be alive. "You know, you have already lost. I originally thought that you should not care about your family, But I didn't expect that each of you would pay so much attention to your younger generations. It seems that your physiology has been ruined, right? Tang Mao looked at Anjana in front of him and sneered. This group of old guys are all the leaders of the clan. But not all of their families are forbidden spell masters. Even the fastest growing ones are probably just a few top level mages now. You are right, we are naive. But as long as we take you down, then all this will be nothing. Anjana said with a sullen face. At this time, he had a stronger killing intent towards Tang Mao. He was the chairman of the Continental Magic Association, but he was actually threatened by such a young boy, and he was also frightened. How could he not have a strong killing intention? Question mark? The other forbidden spells were still the same, but Red and Kaz, who came here first, retreated a little. The two old guys seemed to be unwilling to wade into this muddy water. Although Anjana was a little disappointed, he didn't say anything. He was not the chairman of the Continental Council, and he couldn't order the two priests to do anything. Besides, they were responsible for finding and restraining them. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 805, Fighting 6 Forbidden Spells Alone. They were full of killing intent, and Tang Mao was not kind. However, the thing he was most worried about was gone. He was not a cold-blooded person. If the Magic Association really touched his women, he would naturally be heartbroken. But what he said was also true. It was impossible to use these people to endanger himself. Even if he really loved them, he would not surrender. If he did not surrender, everything would still be possible. But once he surrendered, everything would turn into resentment. Then, the light of the devil soared into the sky. He knew that facing 6 or even 8 forbidden spells, and almost all of them were above the strength of the double system, it was impossible to win by himself. If he was as confident as he showed at the beginning, why would he sneak attack a forbidden spell, and even kill it without mercy? At the moment, when the power of the devil broke out, several forbidden spells had surrounded Tang Mao. But the breath that made the forbidden spells tremble was really unbelievable. This was actually the power of the kid in front of them. If it was before, Anjana and others still didn't believe the Asian Magic Association, but now, each of them is sure that Tang Mao really killed Sulu, and fought with the Dark King. Isn't this powerful Laura the power that only a middle-level emperor can emit? All of them, although they are all perverts, it is not difficult to deal with an emperor. It is even possible to kill an emperor, but that is also a primary emperor. But for a middle-level emperor, all they can do is contain and retransmit. No one is willing to go head to head with a middle-level emperor. After all, if one is not good, he may fall. Again, who would want to die if they live well and enjoy the happiness brought by power? No matter which continent, the idea is almost the same. Forbidden technique. This is a forbidden technique jointly banned by the 5 continents. How dare you use this forbidden technique? One of the old wizards, Dexy, exclaimed. His colleagues heard this and looked at him as if he was mentally retarded. Dexy himself felt that what he said was indeed a bit foolish. At this point, what else did the other party dare not do? If he did not dare, he could have solved the speaker of a Continental Magic Association with just one move. This kind of power will definitely not last long. Let's all fight together. I think you should have known his past when you were sent here. Anjana reminded everyone. If Tang Mao hesitated to show his strength and kept it secret because he had the power of an emperor, the other party would probably escape. Once Tang Mao escaped this time, the future of the Magic Association would probably be over. At such a young age, he is already so powerful. If he is given a few more years, who else in the world can control him? Several high-ranking executives of the Magic Association, including the presidents and speakers of the continental level, all nodded in agreement. Tang Mao is already challenging the Magic Association. In ancient times, it can be said that he is challenging the imperial power. Moreover, he is not challenging one country or one city, but 5 continents. This has already affected their interests. What reason do they have not to go all out? Seeing the people working together, Tang Mao sneered and said, "Come and fight." As he spoke, the sky was filled with thunder and lightning. After being transformed into a demon, even if they are good at close combat, no matter which element or magic they use, they have almost all been multiplied. The power of these thunders is almost equivalent to a superclass magic. The bombing power of 10,000 thunders can almost destroy a big city in an instant. Boom. Boom. Under the comprehensive thunder bombardment, several forbidden spell mages had no choice but to immediately smash their positions and finally retreat together. The elemental power of light, water, and earth was almost constantly mobilized and superimposed to form a huge defense above them. As for the priests Riad and Kaz, the moment Tang Mao made his move, they hid hundreds of miles away. At this time, it is obviously more appropriate to watch the battle from a distance than to fight in close combat there. Whether to help or not is a problem, and being bombed is even more tragic. Moreover, Riad felt that from the moment Tang Mao used this forbidden technique called Demon System, even his speed was likely to suffer an accident. As a priest of the Holy Court, how could he not understand the Demon System? At first, he really didn't know much. But after Tang Mao was wanted, he had nothing to do, and deliberately learned about it. When he was just a high-level wizard, Tang Mao relied on the demon system to fight against the undead at the level of the Supreme Monarch, and there was also the Invincible Monarch, which was a complete crush. When he was superclass, he even participated in the battle with the Emperor. All kinds of situations show that the demon system is a magic system that allows people to fight beyond their level. Of course, the premise is that you can control it. If you can't control it, it will become a crazy killing machine. Red was very glad that after Tang Mao showed a little bit of his strength, he learned to be tolerant instead of provoking him. Kaz looked at the people fighting over there and said blankly, "Red, what do you feel at this moment?" "I think the old priest may be right. He wants to help the other party, but it is also for our good. This kid is really not to be provoked," Red said truthfully. "Yeah, I used to think that the old priest came all the way here just to favor him. But now it seems that it is not the case." Kaz also said with emotion. Tang Mao's matter has made such a big fuss that some people from the aristocratic families may not know about it. But those old monsters who have crossed the level of forbidden spells and have extremely high status know it clearly. When the wanted order was issued and Old Man Bayo came here, they still thought that Old Man Bayo wanted to protect this kid. After all, there is news that Tang Mao is from the Kingshan Hunting Institute. And now, they finally understood that maybe Old Man Bayo really didn't want them to deal with Tang Mao, but at the same time he didn't want Tang Mao to kill them, right? The Holy Court of Justice has changed over the years, but it is still cleaning up the chores everywhere every day, every moment, every second. Their chores, of course, are internationally famous criminals. Once the Holy Court of Justice suffers a huge loss, it will not be good news for them, or for the whole world. Because once that happens, even if something happens in various places, the Holy Court of Justice will not be able to deal with it easily. Therefore, Old Man Bayo, who knows Tang Mao's strength, does not want them to fight with Tang Mao to the death, and finally hurt their vitality. These people in the Magic Association are really perverted. Kaz looked at the senior executives who were at a disadvantage at the beginning, and now they have cooperated with ease. As the top power in this world, if they don't have any special strength, how can they control the 5 continents? Riad was not surprised by the strength of these people. To put it bluntly, even though they both have dual forbidden spells, they are not likely to win against the weakest forbidden spell mage. Forbidden spells are also divided into strong and weak. Although these people have not appeared on the heavenly ranking, their strength is considered to be overwhelming in the heavenly ranking. Sulu doesn't know how to do things. Aisha has not improved much in recent years. It's a pity that he doesn't even think about recruiting such talents. Hearing what Kaz said, Riad narrowed his eyes and said, haha. If Sulu could recruit such people, there would be no 5-continent magic association anymore. Boom. Thunder continued to bombard, but there was no real effect. Even 3 of them were defending against forbidden spells, and the other 3 had already started to complete their own forbidden spells. The strength of these 6 people can be said to be absolutely the best among the best. Compared with the forbidden spells that besieged the 9-tailed fox, it can be said that they are simply weak. However, if it weren't for Sulu, the old shaman, and if it weren't for the fact that several La-class forbidden spells had paid the price of their lives, the nine-tailed fox might not have been defeated by him. Ice forbidden spell. And Jaina was the first to complete the forbidden spell. He had the highest cultivation and the strongest momentum. Obviously, he became a forbidden spell many years ago, and the advent of this tyrannical ice forbidden spell made the Alps' snow-capped mountains feel like they were in the Ice Age in an instant. At this moment, almost everything was frozen. Moreover, the distance was constantly expanding. Even in the Alps Academy, which was hundreds of miles away, except for some forbidden spell mages, the rest of the students had begun to hide in the houses to keep warm. The reason why the forbidden spells could not be easily deployed was not because their magic power was too powerful. Once they made a move, it would not be a matter of one city. It would be a baptism for hundreds of miles around. Tangmao's demon blood in the protection of the heavenly seed fire had a tendency to freeze several times, but it was soon washed away and melted by the hot blood. But it would definitely not be good for him to let the other party continue like this. Thunder Flame. With one hand holding the purple sky divine thunder and the other holding the heavenly tribulation fire, the two powers merged into one as Tangmao mobilized them. The moment the power of both hands merged, cracks immediately appeared on the thick glacier. The moment the endless ice blades cut through the sky and penetrated through, they were all shattered and melted by Tangmao's thunder and fire. Thunder Flame 10,000 powers. Boom boom boom. The other party froze hundreds of miles in radius, and Tangmao used the simplest and crudest method to fight violence with violence to disperse and drive away all the ice element nearby. Under the gloomy sky, thunder and lightning fell like a downpour. Wind forbidden spell. The destructive gale, that was even more terrifying than Riad's wind spell, connected the sky from the ground and swept towards Tangmao. Space forbidden spell. Things forbidden. As the gale was baptized by the gale, the sky and the earth instantly lost their color, and the silver space forbidden spell descended, and everything around them seemed to have come to a standstill. When the space system is superb, even time is not unrestricted. Strong pressure and impact force continue to rush into Tangmao's body. This elemental forbidden spell can still be resisted, but this space forbidden spell is really irresistible damage. Tangmao was trapped in the silver space suppression, and was also torn by the silver space force of destruction. His body was like carrying a city, and could not move easily. Not only that, he also injured the heart-piercing pain of the tearing wind. It was the demon system and the black dragon python armor that gave him a very powerful protection, so that he was not torn apart by the wind of destruction. At the moment, when Tangmao was trapped, the thunder and fire rain that were still falling before also slowly dissipated in an instant. And Jaina used cold air to dispel the invading fire rain in his body, and then said, "He has been controlled. Don't give him time to breathe. Every forbidden spell will last for a long time of destruction, but Tangmao's power should not be underestimated. If they don't kill him now, once the other party breaks free, it will not be an easy task to control him again." Forbidden spell of fire. Forbidden spell of thunder. The three mages who had just arranged defenses also began to welcome the arrival of their own forbidden spells. Together with Jaina, the four people's power of thunder and fire as well as the power of the four forbidden spells of shadow and poison, some suppressed, some broke defense, and some destroyed, and greeted Tangmao's place. Tangmao was somewhat careless. If he hadn't thought about output and suppression before, he wouldn't have fallen into the opponent's encirclement so easily. However, now is obviously not the time to complain about this. The moment the four forces attacked him, he knew that this wave was going to be a failure. 6 forbidden spell mages, destroying together, or he was trapped in the control of the forbidden spell. How could he resist? Charming Divine Bird. At the moment when the destructive force hit, Tangmao summoned a Killin and the Charming Divine Bird that was waiting with him. As soon as the mini bird appeared, it drilled into Tangmao's heart. His heart existed well, and the moment the Charming Divine Bird merged into it, his heart was swallowed by it. At that moment, Tangmao seemed to have lost all consciousness. It must be said that this decision was somewhat hasty. Fortunately, the Charming Divine Bird had no intention of harming him, and it was completely voluntary to merge into his body. Boom, boom, boom. The heart was beating vigorously, which was the melody of vigorous life. At this moment, the destruction from all directions bombarded Tang Mao's body. Even the black dragon python armor and the demon's body, which accepted the destruction of the 6 forbidden spells, clearly experienced the feeling of being torn apart by 5 horses for a while. Boom. Boom. At the moment, when Tang Mao was blown apart, several spirit level fire seeds floated in the air. The next moment, the spirit level flames seemed to be attracted by something and all poured into one direction. This is a flame figure without a body, but as the flames filled up, his skeleton was quickly reshaped, including the sternum, spine, shoulder bones, leg bones, and more detailed bones. It was like a steel furnace, melting all the crushed metal materials into hot liquid, and then pouring them into a perfect skeleton. The reforged skeleton was a human skeleton with great power, like an artistic statue shrouded by divine light under the scorching sun, exuding supreme dignity and endless masculinity. At this time, the power of the forbidden spell still continued here, and he was constantly destroyed and reshaped as if it had become a cycle. Chapter 806 Shattering the Darkness with Thunder. Especially this process, it is extremely painful. Of course, it is not the body that suffers, but the soul. Rebirth from the fire does not mean that there is no price, nor does it mean that you are really fearless. After all, he is not a charming bird. In the process of being destroyed and repaired, his soul will still suffer some trauma. That is to say, his spiritual realm has reached the 10th level, and he is protected by the Killin. Otherwise, if he encounters a powerful dimensional wizard who is also 10th level perfect, even his soul may be wiped out. The power of the magic destructive energy lasted for nearly half an hour before it completely rolled up a huge mushroom cloud and rushed into the sky. The nearby mountains and jungles have almost been shed, as if a layer of skin has been peeled off. The snow-capped peaks have now become a wasteland. Anyena looked at the mushroom cloud in front of him, and then gestured to the forbidden spell not far away. The forbidden spell wizard also understood it in a second, and blew up a gust of wind, to blow away the mushroom cloud. They wanted to see if Tang Mao was still alive. In fact, in their opinion, a human being, even if he possesses forbidden spells, is still a human being. With the 6 forbidden spell masters exerting their full strength and controlling him, Tang Mao should be dead. But if he does not see the situation in the clouds clearly, he still dare not be careless. The strong wind blew, and the mushroom cloud was instantly dispersed in the distance. Tang Mao's figure was gone in the sky, but there was a body of fire there. Question mark? The fire took advantage of the wind, and while the strong wind blew the mushroom cloud, the burning state of the flame also burned more. What is this? After seeing the ball of fire, one of the forbidden spell masters asked in confusion. Anyena frowned, and then suddenly shouted, "No, he is not dead yet." After this, several people were a little dumbfounded. In that case, let alone Tang Mao is not a forbidden spell. Even if it is a forbidden spell, even with a good magic tool, I believe he will be torn to pieces by the tearing force of the forbidden spell. Is it true that Tang Mao is no longer in the realm of human beings, but has become an emperor who has crossed the threshold of the emperor? Question mark? Emperor creatures are very difficult to kill, and are also called undead creatures by humans. Even a monarch level demon is difficult to kill, let alone an emperor. Tang Mao slaughtered the monarch as easily as killing an ant, because his magic had long surpassed the limits of humans. The destructive power caused is immeasurable. But this does not mean that all monarch creatures are so easy to kill. There are many that can be severely damaged, but there are very few that can be killed. This is why humans will be afraid and magicians will panic when monarch creatures appear in a city. Because they know very well that, even if they fight to the death, they may die, but creatures that have reached the level of monarchs will only be injured at most. This is the case for monarch level creatures, let alone emperor creatures. Crackle, crackle. When the other party was surprised, the flames were constantly burning, and something like flesh seemed to appear on the raging fire. The next moment, Tang Mao, who had been destroyed to the point of having no shape at all, gradually had flesh and blood, making this fiery body fuller and more vital. Finally, there were those eyes, bloody eyes, revealing the flames that burned everything. The black dragon python armor had just been destroyed, and after his body recovered, it had an extra layer of flame protection. For a moment, the flame element everywhere in the world floated towards him. A pair of flaming wings spread out behind him, and Tang Mao once again hung high in the sky. Haha. I was careless, but you didn't expect that you wanted to kill me with your strength? Looking at Anjana and others, the anger in his heart had burned to a limit. Under such tearing pain, if it weren't for the sacrifice of Changming Shinio, he would have been really dead. Tang Mao, who had been killed once by these people in front of him, had no other distractions for these people, except a heart of revenge. Is this guy a human or a ghost? Dexy stared with his eyes wide open, his white eyebrows wrinkled into a V-shape. After such a destructive magic, he was still intact, and for some reason, Tang Mao's momentum became even stronger. I'm a god. While responding, the three element began to be absorbed by Tang Mao. Although the fusion gloves were destroyed when they were destroyed before, the flames were on the next level. With the help of Yanji Zunu, he was still able to mobilize the three realms with fire as the main force. When he felt Tang Mao's continuous absorption of the power of the three element of fire, thunder, and ice, Anjana hurriedly said, "Stop him." He couldn't imagine the scene in front of him. There was actually a person in the world who could open the three realms at once, and they were different elements superimposed on each other. The most shocking thing was that there were actually two elements of ice and fire that complemented each other. Several forbidden spells still needed Anjana's reminders. When he took action, they all came towards Tang Mao. However, this time, the space restraint was blocked by a silver wall before it came within 100 meters of Tang Mao. Several forbidden spells used magic bombardment in turn, but the space wall not only did not react at all, but also absorbed the magic they released and returned it back. Exclamation mark. Chaos. Space. This is exactly the power achieved by the fusion of the two magics in the dimension. For some reason, after being reborn from the fire, even if he did not rely on anything, the fusion operation was as easy as a touch. Moreover, his magic is no longer the regular magic like before. Not only the three magics of thunder, fire, and ice do not need ancient star maps and constellations. Even other magics are the same. They do not need to guide anything, as if they are born in every part of their body. If they want to release, they can rely on their thoughts. At this moment, he is a real magic turret. And as long as the magic power is enough, he is a real non-stop magic turret. Wind forbidden spell. Seeing that magic other than the forbidden spell could not break Tang Mao's barrier, the wind forbidden spell of the magic association guided the forbidden spell again. The wind of annihilation caused the barren mountains below to roll up, and then a huge sandstorm like a natural disaster swept towards the place where Tang Mao was. Light storm. Seeing this, Tang Mao directly removed his protective wall, absorbing the power of the three element, and the two magics of light and wind merged into one. The metal merged into the sandstorm, and the original gravel seemed to have turned into sharp blades that could penetrate everything in an instant, rolling towards the opponent's annihilation wind. In a head-on confrontation, Tang Mao has never been afraid. What's more, with the bonus of Fengji and the gift of metal light, even if it is a forbidden spell wind, what can it do? Boom. The two gusts of wind swirled together, and the dark clouds in the sky were all rolled up. But because the golden yellow sand was all over the wind, the dark clouds were blown away, and what appeared was not a sunny and clear sky, but a dim scene. The several forbidden spell mages were naturally not far away from Tang Mao. Although the wind forbidden spell was launched by the opponent Tang Mao, they were also affected. It was nothing at first. Everyone was using forbidden spells, so they could resist it naturally. But who would have thought that Tang Mao would also release the wind? Moreover, this wind was obviously not a forbidden spell, but for some reason, it exerted a power beyond the forbidden spell. The wind forbidden spell storm was quickly absorbed by Tang Mao, and the several forbidden spells surrounding him were naturally all involved. This is not a mid-level wind disc. In this kind of wind roll, every second is like being pierced by thousands of blades. Several high-level members of the Magic Association felt the horror of the wind of destruction when they were rolled in it, and each of them put on the most expensive armor magic tools. But even so, the pain still continued to come, and the magic tools on their bodies were constantly breaking. Forbidden spell of light. But after all, they are at the top of the magic world. Even if this metal wind has a strong destructive power, it does not mean that they cannot resist it. The forbidden spell of light is not only a powerful output, it can also condense into a shield with extremely strong defense. With the protection of the giant shield composed of thousands of light shields, several old guys leaned together. And Jaina, I didn't expect that everyone would fight overtly and covertly for a lifetime in middle age, but still need to rely on each other for life and death in old age. The skinny old man from South America said with a breath. Yada, why are you saying this at this time? Do you think that we can't take him down if we join forces? And Jaina asked. In fact, he himself has lost all confidence. Just like Tang Mao said, the previous wave of suppression was completely the other party's carelessness. That's why they were destroyed once and for all. But everyone attacked together, but in the end they failed to kill the other party, but were still controlled by this wind formation. Everyone is about to be buried, and you still want to show off your words? Yada shook his head. Even if he is in his twilight years, this kid must not be allowed to leave alive. If he doesn't die, we will die. It's okay for us to die, but what about our descendants? And Jaina continued. He won't touch our descendants, and he said that before, just because he was afraid that we would do so. Yada opened his eyes, which had been squinting. His eyes were dark, and he was also a powerful dark forbidden spell mage. In fact, before Tang Mao said those words and the moment he was about to take action, the old man had seen through it. It's not that Tang Mao didn't care about his woman, but this man knew better, that if he surrendered, he would only die. But even if he saw through it, what would it matter? If they couldn't stop Tang Mao and really touched the other party's relatives, then the destruction, he said, would definitely become a reality. So, since they didn't do that at the beginning, it's better not to use some conspiracies that can't be put on the table. In the end, this world still needs strength to speak. You talk so much nonsense. Are you trying to escape at the last minute? And Jaina is not a fool. How could he not understand the truth? They have all lived for most of their lives. If they don't have any brains, how can they still get by now? But the problem now is that all 6 of them are controlled, and the other party is still brewing stronger elemental magic. Once Tang Mao succeeds, they really have no chance. At this time, this old man was still stirring up the army, which was really abominable. No. Although I like to keep things to myself, this time I will devote all my life to destroy this little guy. If we fail to take him down today, how can the future Magic Association gain a foothold and control all countries? After Yada finished speaking, he suddenly exuded a strong dark power. Although this dark power is not as good as Sulu's dark power, it is definitely not much worse than the other party. He is also a 3 series forbidden spell, a top existence in this world. In this world, 3 series forbidden spells are almost the limit of human beings. After all, the resources required to become a forbidden spell are too rare. Even the presidents of the magic associations of the other 4 continents, the strongest one, only have 4 series forbidden spells. But as the top leaders of the Magic Association, without exception, they have the strongest configuration in each system. At the same time as the black energy burst out, the old man was also wearing a black dark armor. In the continuous cutting of the metal wind blade, he suddenly occupied the entire sky and earth. With the power of darkness, devour everything. After seeing this scene, Anyana was shocked and said, Yada, you old immortal, what are you going to do? After the darkness reaches the top, it can open the passage to hell. And this old man obviously wants to use darkness to devour and pull Tang Mao into the dark plane. But the consequence of his doing so is that the other forbidden spells will also be brought into the dark plane. They are not the high and mighty rulers. So, seeing the other party perform this forbidden technique, how can Anyana not panic? Not only himself, but also the others are cursing constantly. Unfortunately, the dark forbidden spell master Yada has no intention of paying attention. In order to make Tang Mao disappear from this world, he had no choice but to do this. The sky was full of black and submerged everything. A huge black wormhole tore the space and unfolded. In the black wormhole, a large number of dark creatures began to emerge continuously. Tang Mao, who gathered the power of 3 element, was also eroded and wrapped by darkness. He really didn't expect that this group of people would be so crazy, want to pull himself into the dark plane. Exclamation mark. Anyone can go to the dark plane, but Tang Mao is the only one who cannot step into it. At least now, it is absolutely impossible. Stepping into it is simply a way to death. Boom boom, flame and ice are constantly added to the thunder in their hands. Yanji and Zunu each send their own powerful initial fire and initial ice. The purple sky divine thunder absorbs the power of 2 element, and under the superposition of the triple element field, it continuously repels the surrounding darkness. Damn it, you want me to go to another world with you? Dream about it. Watch me shatter your long river of darkness. The irritable thunder turned into a thunder halberd, a huge thunder halberd. After Tang Mao flew into the sky, his tiny body supported the thunder halberd like a pillar of heaven, and he exerted force backwards and threw it out with a whoosh. The target of the thunder halberd is naturally the entrance of the black wormhole. The river that appears at the entrance is actually a continuous stream of dark creatures. The moment the lightning spear penetrated through it, all the dark creatures and the dark energy covering the sky and the earth were dispersed by the purple light almost in an instant. Boom. Boom. Use the power of thunder to shatter the darkness. It is a very familiar sentence. I never thought about whether it is really true before, but I experienced it today, and it was a full experience. Chapter 807 Seal Tang Mao. Thunder rolled in the sky, as if nature was angry about the darkness that permeated here. Huge thunders, wherever they fell, almost all the darkness dissipated. The black wormhole was also directly broken and collapsed by this thunder halberd. Finally disappeared. The dark river that Yada opened with all his strength did not expect to be so fragile. It can be said that it came and went in a hurry. But he was already at the age of exhaustion, and the fight just now was also a way of dying together. Unexpectedly, he was going to die, but the other party was still standing in the air, without any influence at all. At this moment, Yada couldn't help but sigh. Being young is good. After the last word was spit out, he no longer had a trace of magic power to maintain himself, and began to fall directly from the sky. The dark energy on his body continued to dissipate. Tang Mao looked at the skinny old man falling, and appeared in front of him in an instant. Damn old guy, he actually wants me to go to the dark plane. Yada, who was pinched by Tang Mao, slowly opened his eyes, but at this time his vitality was rapidly declining. What's more, he was pinched by Tang Mao, and had no ability to speak at all. Shadow evil, peel him. Tang Mao did not have any mercy on this. A soul shadow behind him also burst out with black energy, and the next moment it wrapped the old man. After being wrapped by the dark energy, Yada, who had already died, suddenly let out a miserable scream. Just by listening to this sound, you can know what kind of inhuman treatment he has received. But those few high-level members of the Magic Association who had just escaped from the darkness, none of them felt that this old man was pathetic. After all, this bastard wanted to kill them all. Although they also knew that the other party wanted to kill Tang Mao, who knew if there was any personal grudge involved. After all, the Magic Association of the 5 continents is not always so peaceful. After the scream that lasted for nearly 30 seconds, Tang Mao locked his eyes on the rest of the people. 2 forbidden spells have been killed. 2 forbidden spells were lost in one day, and they were both at the top of this world. Not those forbidden spells that had just broken through a few years, nor were they forbidden spell mages who could not complete the advent of forbidden spells. Reed and Kaz had already hidden far away when the dark river just opened. After seeing the scene in front of them, the 2 of them were glad that they did not participate in it. They were also glad that the Holy Court was only responsible for containment. And Jaina and the other 5 did not look very good. Although they were unhappy with Yada's suicidal tactics, he was still a helper after all. 6-1 could not do anything to Tang Mao, and now 5-1. Delay. This is our only way. Yes, his power does not belong to him. As long as we can delay until his power dissipates, it will not be too late to bring him to justice. After one person made a proposal, several old men agreed. Yes, Tang Mao's power is indeed so strong that it is unbelievable, but as long as his power dissipates, he will be a stronger top-level mage. 5 forbidden spells can't take down a top-level mage. Listening to their discussion, Tang Mao felt a little funny, looking at them, as if they were idiots. You want to delay, but are you worthy? As soon as he finished speaking, Tang Mao stared at the three people who had ice, fire, and thunder explode. In the triple domain, he can completely defeat them from the inside. Several people were a little strange, but the people who had three of them felt the collapse of the magic system in their bodies at almost the same time. However, they were all forbidden spells, and they still had some reaction. They suppressed it one after another. At this moment, Tang Mao suddenly disappeared from the spot with a flash. The next moment, a puff sound came out, and Tang Mao's hands were covered with thunder and fire, piercing through the chest of a forbidden spell. The domain detonated the opponent's magic, which was naturally defendable for forbidden spells. But his surprise attack was something they couldn't defend against. Bang! Another forbidden spell was directly broken by the thunder and fire from the inside and fell. At this moment, the remaining 4 forbidden spells were panicked, especially the 2 who were still suppressing their magic. They wanted to escape. After all, this was too weird. Thunder and fire. But they had already experienced life and death. Could Tang Mao still let them leave safely? Boom. Thunder was everywhere, and fire rain fell all over the sky. At this moment, they were directly blocked from going. And Jaina, the strongest among them, suddenly felt that maybe Yada was right. Tang Mao's strength was too strong. You didn't know where his limit was. The most important thing was that the other party was too young. Exclamation mark. He was less than 30 years old. He already had such supreme power. Since this kind of person chose to stand on the opposite side of the magic association, he should do his best to solve the other party. Otherwise, the power they control will soon be unworthy of its name. And what will eventually lead to is a change of the world's pattern, especially those leaders of powerful countries. Some of them are not weaker than those in power in the magic association. Although they are ambitious, they still need to keep a low profile under the joint control of the headquarters of the Magic Association of the 5 continents. But once the news of today's events spreads, he dare not imagine that the descendants of those who stand at the top of the power will still have a legacy after the destruction of a kingship. Although Tang Mao was able to kill one quickly just now, it was completely unexpected and relied on sneak attacks. But it is not easy to do the same thing again. The fire feathers opened, and the sky became extremely red. Fire feather sky blade. The wings waved slightly, and the power of the flames poured into the clouds. The next moment, a series of fire feather blades fell from the sky. Swish, 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 swish. Forbidden spell of the sky. Seeing the flame feather blades falling from the sky, deep pits appeared on the ground and flames ignited. It was clear how hot the sky fire was. Forbidden spells are also people, not gods. Under Tang Mao's continuous bombardment, although they still have a lot of magic tools, they will run out sooner or later. Of course, they can't let Tang Mao output at will. Forbidden spell of ice. Catastrophe water ore. At the moment, when Jaina controlled Tang Mao's flame feathers to fall, the other 3 people attacked separately. Swish, swish, swish. Under the impact of that tsunami, the flame feathers were not extinguished, but their seawater was constantly evaporated. Magic sound. Tang Mao looked at the few people dealing with his flame feathers, and directly used the harassment of the sound system, impacting into Jaina's spiritual world. Buzz buzz buzz. However, the opponent was not without defense. He wanted to use sound magic to disrupt the opponent's control, but he didn't expect that the opponent actually had a magic weapon that could concentrate his mind. Storm thunder. Seeing that harassment was useless, Tang Mao still chose to fight head-on. Although Hoi was still delayed in landing, the fierce thunder and wind rushed into the colorless space forbidden spell without any hindrance. Zizzy. It was clearly just a superclass magic, but at the moment when the extremely sharp holy sword of light landed at the point of attack, the space restriction broke with a loud bang. It was not that the output of the sword of light was still above the fusion, but because the penetration of the thunderstorm had already made the barrier resistance of this dimension reach the extreme, and when the lightsaber landed, it was simply a finishing blow. The dimensional barrier was broken, and the rain of fire, the violent storm in the thunder, and lightning immediately fell around them, and also landed within a radius of 100 miles. Boom. Boom. It was like a fighter jet in the sky constantly firing artillery shells. When several people were resisting with all their strength, Tangmao was protected by flames all over his body, and his wings moved and disappeared in the air, rushing into the storm of thunderclouds and seas of fire. Kaz and Riyad, who had been hiding in the distance, had no intention of leaving. This battle was really too shocking. Even if they knew it was dangerous here and wanted to evacuate, they still couldn't help wanting to see a result. Speaking of which, a place that even forbidden spells feel dangerous can be imagined. The Alps Snow Mountain has been destroyed into a mess. Even the Alps Academy was implicated. After all, the darkness covered more than 100 miles. Although Tangmao dispelled the darkness, the thunder did not discriminate. The students of the Alps Academy were also implicated. Fortunately, most of them were injured but not fatal. This was also thanks to the security barrier of their academy and the full resistance of a group of teachers and students, plus the long distance. But if it happens again, the Alps Academy will probably be destroyed. It is not just talk that immortals fight and mortals suffer. Even the chief priest of the Holy Court could not sit still and rushed here. In the place where the elements were bombarded, Tangmao condensed the holy light magic sword and slashed at the wounded Anjana. But the opponent has a lot of trump cards. There is no shortage of defensive magic tools and magic weapons, and there is no shortage of such offensive vessels and magic weapons. He used an ice blade long knife to start the most primitive battle with Tangmao. The two of them fought back and forth, and they had to pay attention to each other's killing skills when they were baptized by thunder and fire. Tangmao was fine. After all, it was his own magic, and he was protected by the flame field, so it didn't have much impact, but Anjana made him underestimate him. Not only did he ignore the rain of firebombing from the sky, but he also fought back and forth with Tangmao. Seeing that he couldn't kill the other party immediately, Tangmao gave up directly. He created this kind of destruction just to disperse the alliance of several people. In a flash, he disappeared here. But as Anjana, who majored in space, how could he let Tangmao escape? The moment he appeared to stab DZ in the back, Anjana suddenly appeared behind him, waving the big knife in his hand to take Tangmao's holy light sword. Rough seeing that the old man was already in a state of bleeding, but he was still so clinging, he began to swear. I don't know if he is afraid of bleeding to death. Ice forbidden spell. After the two fought for several rounds, the surrounding cold air suddenly invaded. The fire feathers that were constantly falling were intercepted at this moment. Seeing this, Anjana finally stopped pestering Tangmao and quickly teleported to the maximum output point of the ice forbidden spell. It was too late for Tangmao to react, but he did not escape. The sword of light in his hand flew towards Anjana. Turning back, the fire feathers opened again. Facing the ice that was about to freeze him, the flames heated up rapidly. Melting flame pillar. Bang 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 boom. Chiss. Crack, crack, crack. Although the flames were strong, they isolated the power of the fire element. This place was completely occupied by the field of ice, and soon the flame pillar was frozen. Pop. Then, like broken ice, it turned into a starlight point and fell. Tangmao knew that he could not hold on for a short time, so he had to cooperate with the snow girl to wrap himself up first. Crack, crack, crack at the same time, the cold air completely wrapped him in it. Originally, the snow-capped mountains here had become a wasteland, but because of the advent of the forbidden spell of ice, it became a glacier again in an instant. Seal of light, seal. At the moment, when Tangmao was frozen, another forbidden spell also applied a layer of insurance, killing Tangmao. They dared not imagine it. However, the Magic Association also has a lot of sealing techniques. A series of cold lights were engraved on Tangmao's body. At this time, he was frozen and could not move at all, nor could he stop it. After the seal was completely completed, the 4 surviving forbidden spells were relieved. Finally, everything is settled. Anjana used some medicine and simply treated his injuries. The reason why he desperately delayed Tangmao was not for the arrival of this moment. The other 3 forbidden spells were also overconsumed. 2 of them had been resisting the fire feathers, while the other was responsible for the ice seal. No matter who they were, they all paid a great price. DZ stared at the frozen Tangmao. If I knew this kid was so difficult, I would have used the seal technique at the beginning. Now it's good. 3 of the 7 of us came here and died. except for Anjana, who was from the North American Magic Association. The other 6 came from the other 3 continents in groups of 2. And this time, they were all injured and disabled. Humph, it's not that the 2 wastes of the Holy Court dared not to take action. Otherwise, how could this kid be so arrogant? Another African senior said coldly. But how to deal with this kid? Should we just leave him here? If someone breaks the seal, wouldn't we have wasted our efforts? And Jaina knew what they were worried about. Tangmao, this thief, has many women, and each of them is not simple. If someone wants to save him, it is not impossible. However, since the seal has been decided, he is naturally not afraid of someone coming to save him. He looked at the 3 people and said, why is it a waste of effort? After we have recovered, we will kill all the people related to this kid. Although he did not explain, the action of wiping his neck, coupled with his fierce eyes, has already explained everything. He is going to kill all the people related to Tangmao. As for what forces these people are, what kind of proud daughters of heaven, and what kind of existence are behind them, but in front of them, what does it matter? Chapter 808 Tangmao, I want to kill. Who can save me? Swish. Swish. Just as they were discussing excitedly, the iceberg behind them suddenly trembled, and the ice hanging on the iceberg began to fall to the surroundings. Hearing this movement, Anyana looked back nervously. Snap. Snap. I saw that the iceberg had actually begun to show cracks. Question mark? How is it possible? Shouldn't he have been frozen? How can he still resist? The ice mage asked in shock. No one could give him a satisfactory answer to this question. It was the first time for the people present to encounter such a situation. This is the magic that has been developed by generations of magic masters to seal the emperor. But I didn't expect that it would not be completely suppressed when it was used on a young boy today. Question mark? Buzz with waves of trembling, the elemental power between heaven and earth continued to pour into the iceberg. Not good. Quickly strengthened the power of the seal. It was outrageous that he could move, and now he was absorbing the elemental energy of heaven and earth around him. This is even more monstrous than a monster. However, it is obviously a stupid operation. To think about it now, they only have to do one thing, that is to strengthen the seal, and no matter what, they can't let Tangmao break the ice. After someone shouted, several people each use the forbidden secret method. Speaking of it, it is fortunate that the top leaders of the Magic Association have mastered this secret method. Otherwise, it would be impossible to suppress it quickly by one person. The sky above the barren land hundreds of miles away. The chief priest of the Holy Court also came here. When he arrived, he also learned about the process of the matter from Kaz and Reed. The Holy Court suffered countless casualties. The Magic Association of the 4 continents has lost 3 forbidden spells. Originally thought that Tangmao was sealed, and the matter ended successfully. But it happened to encounter this side that broke the ice. This kid is really not a human chief priest. I think if the magic evil can't take the opponent this time, we should not provoke him, Reed said, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Kaz also nodded in agreement and said, I think we should give the old priest Songkaiming a favor. The chief priest glanced at the 2 of them, but did not speak. However, he frowned and stared at the iceberg. Bang, bang. Even though the 4 of them worked together to strengthen the seal, the iceberg continued to break, and the broken ice and boulders continued to fall everywhere. A large amount of fire element also continued to gather in this iceberg. Boom. When the fire element was sufficient to a certain limit, the iceberg exploded instantly, and the several forbidden spells that were casting the sealing technique around were directly bounced to various places. Tangmao was wrapped in flames at this time. He had been careful again and again before, but he didn't expect to be caught. If his ice system was not weak, he would have really fallen here today. Speaking of it, he fell as soon as he fought, and then he had the ability to be reborn from the fire. It seems that it is not unsolvable. The people of the Magic Association may not be able to kill you, but they can still seal you. Sure enough, the cunning of human beings is engraved in their bones. He felt that he would still be a human being in the future. Flames shot out and soared into the sky. The original glacier world melted into a barren land again. Flames were coming out of his body, and there was a mark of the fire totem Suzaku clan on his forehead. He had completed the key fusion, and the flames on his body had completely advanced to the peak stage of the heavenly species. The battle was indeed constantly strengthening him, and he was born for battle. If I remember correctly, there is also a piece of clothing related to the Fire Totem clan in the ancient capital, although I don't remember it very clearly. As long as I get that fire clothing, I think Tang Mao can directly cross the forbidden spell. He will have a more fierce fire than the Suzaku flame. Now his body has long been like a furnace for melting various flames. There are all kinds of spirit seeds, soul seeds, and heavenly seeds in his body, plus the fire of heavenly tribulation and the initial fire of Zhao Yanji. It can be said that he can ascend to heaven and become the god of fire in one step. The hotter flames made the four of them feel like they were trapped in a sea of fire. At this moment, they no longer wanted to fight, they wanted to escape. After being accompanied by this flame, Tang Mao's strength was immeasurable. Moreover, the opponent's current state was still intact. How could he fight? Originally, I thought that this kind of power would not last long, but the battle between them lasted for half a day, and the opponent was still raging. Seeing that several people wanted to escape, the hot flames around Tang Mao made the space distorted, and then he split into four. Puff puff boom. Boom. Four figures, two of whom had forbidden spells pierced through their chests by him, and even the other party had no strength to defend. And Anjana and Easy were playing their trump cards, and blocked his fatal blow. The four figures merged into one, and the two fled in two directions respectively. Even with his current strength, he couldn't kill one and catch up with the other. So, he chased in the direction of Anjana. Although he was trapped in the iceberg just now, he could hear everything the other party said clearly. Since he wanted to break the moral code, he certainly couldn't keep such a person. Tang Mao was very fast. Even though Anjana was not slow, he was still caught up by Tang Mao in less than half an hour. The direction Anjana ran happened to be the location of the Holy Court. The chief priest, Riad, and Kaz were all here. After seeing the three people, Anjana lost all his dignity and shouted, "Save me, priest, save me." Before the chief priest responded, a flaming figure suddenly appeared above him. "I want to kill. Who in this world can save you?" Tang Mao said with a sneer. While speaking, the flames condensed into entities, and a fire dragon was tied to Anjana's body. He wanted to resist, but all kinds of forbidden spells, forbidden techniques, and desperate calls. How much magic power does he have left to squander now? Moreover, Tang Mao's fire dragon seemed to melt everything. He could feel that even the best armor magic tools might not be able to resist for 1 or 2 minutes. "Let me go. You can't kill me. I am." Anjana wanted to talk about his status, but before he could say it, the fire dragon shrank. "You don't want to tell me that you are a senior executive of the Continental Magic Association?" Tang Mao asked sarcastically. "You are." This fire dragon was not fatal, but it kept melting his body. The pain can be imagined. Tang Mao did this not because of anything else, but because of what he said before. Wanting to touch his woman, this is already stepping on his bottom line. This kind of person, no matter what he said, can't make him feel comfortable. Similarly, he was also warning the three priests standing there. The three of them just watched Anjana suffer the fire torture, but no one had the intention to take action. Of course, the chief priest seemed to want to say something, but was stopped by Kaz and Riad. These two people were really scared. They were really afraid of Tang Mao. There was no other way. The power he displayed was too shocking. Moreover, the 7 top fighters of the Magic Association were not his opponents alone. Even in the process of fighting, they used means and strategies. But, in the face of absolute strength, what use were these? In this case, Kaz and Red didn't want to get involved anymore. Especially Red. He felt that the speed at which Tang Mao rushed over just now was something that even he couldn't compare to. He couldn't even match the speed of the other party. This old guy really couldn't muster up any fighting spirit. The wailing lasted for nearly half an hour. In the end, Anjana, the top fighter of the human race, turned into smoke and slowly dissipated. After dealing with Anjana, Tang Mao looked at Riad and the other two. "This is my magic, which you call witchcraft. What do you think? Do you want to catch me now? Haha. You are joking, little brother." In this world, anything that can be called witchcraft is not up to paragraph. How can a destructive magic like yours be called witchcraft? We were just ordered to stay for a while before, and we didn't have any bad intentions. Old man Reed slowly stood in front and said in a friendly manner. Of course, while expressing his friendliness, he also remained vigilant. There was no way. He was really scared. Haha. Everyone knows that the Holy Court and the Court of Abnormal Judgment are extremely domineering. I didn't expect that today they would recognize my magic that violates the theory of magic. You are really amazing. He didn't take his kindness seriously at all and responded with sarcasm. Today you have proved that your magic is orthodox. How can we say it is witchcraft? The old man didn't buy Tang Mao's ridicule at all and then told the truth. Since you don't want to wade into this muddy water, I hope this is the last time I see you. If we meet again next time, I think I should go to the Holy Court to learn the magic of the priests. After saying this, Tang Mao left. As for this threatening tone, the chief priest was actually very unhappy. Since the establishment of the Holy Court, not to mention the priests, even people from all over the world, have been respectful to the Holy Court mage. But today, he, the chief priest, was here and was mocked and threatened like this. But thinking about Anjana, who was not much weaker than him, being cremated alive, he felt that he could still bear it. After a great battle, when Tang Mao left the place where the three priests were, the power of the devil had dissipated. Unlike the previous spirited look, at this moment, he seemed to be falling apart. Fortunately, Fei Lan appeared in time and caught him when he fell. Fei Lan carried Tang Mao and flew back to the base camp of China. As for what happened here, it was not what they should care about. Inside the Alpine Academy, after Tang Mao was frozen, Dean Perry could no longer observe the situation over there because of the distance. Then, waves of residual power of elemental magic came, which made her sure of one thing, that is, Tang Mao was not dead, and those forbidden spell mages were probably in danger. She was shocked and sighed. At the same time, Dean Perry announced that the Alpine Academy would temporarily close the mountain from this year. The colleges that were away had also begun to notify them to rush back quickly. She might not understand other things very well, but one thing was certain, the whole world was afraid that it would be in chaos. She didn't want her own academy to get involved, and now the entire academy had suffered serious damage, and the students were most likely affected. Even some students on the snowy mountain might have been. But what could she do? Was this to blame on Tang Mao? If Tang Mao hadn't taken those people away from here, the Alpine Academy might have been removed from the world today. Branki actually wanted to know more about the situation over there. What was going on? Of course, she told herself that she was not worried about Tang Mao, but because the child was growing up day by day, she couldn't keep calling him baby, little cutie or something like that. But this reason didn't seem convincing to others. Dean Perry paused and then said, "It's too far, and the elemental power is too dense. I'm not sure. But judging from the fire wave just now, he's fine." Branki breathed a sigh of relief and then became worried again. Then he has completely gone to the other side of the Magic Association, right? Yeah. Dean Perry nodded and finally said, although this is his child, as long as the Alpine Academy closes the mountain and does not participate in the outside world, no matter what the result is, the child will be fine. Just call him Tang Yan. Dean Perry is also a woman with a bad temper, but this time, she was still scared. The power of the forbidden spell, the power beyond the forbidden spell, is probably a threshold that she will never be able to cross in her life. After witnessing the battle between them, Dean Perry can be sure that everyone who fights there can easily destroy the Alpine Academy, and the 7 top forbidden spell mages couldn't do anything to Tang Mao. How could her small academy withstand his anger? However, to put it bluntly, it's just a surname and a name, just do what he wants. Branki nodded, thinking back to what Tang Mao said to her when he left. She didn't doubt anything before, and she wouldn't doubt anything now. Okay, take the children to rest. I'll go see the wounded, Dean Perry said. Branki felt a little ashamed when she heard it. Although this matter was not her doing, she couldn't get rid of it. Don't think about it. If Tang Mao hadn't led the priests hundreds of miles away, our Alpine Academy would have been wiped off the map today. Dean Perry seemed to see what was on her mind and comforted her. Alpine Academy is indeed very famous internationally, but in front of places like the Magic Association and the Holy Inquisition, it is nothing. She is still very clear about this. Chapter 809 Returning to the country. On the other side, Tang Mao, who was returning on Fairy Lion, had also woken up. He was not injured, but the power in his body was fully stimulated all of a sudden, and he fought for a long time, so he was a little overconsumed. In fact, it was because his power was too strong all of a sudden, and he didn't have perfect control, so he was exhausted. While flying to the country, he had already begun to recover. When he arrived at the domestic territory, he didn't let Fairy Lion take him to Phenio City first, but rushed to the ancient capital. He just had a civil war with others, but there were still a lot of sea monsters to come. Although he was also curious about the situation on Feng Zhaolang's side, strengthening his own strength was one of the most important things at the moment. Moreover, the most important thing was that his phone was also destroyed. Even if he wanted to know something, he had no chance at the moment. Fairy Lion was very fast, and with its deterrent power and Tang Mao's momentum, one person and one holy totem, they directly crossed the Kindling Mountains. The former Kindling monster, domineering, guarded here, and did not allow humans to step in, let alone fly high in the sky. Especially the Kindling Feathered Demon Clan. If they find a high altitude flying object here, they will definitely launch a fierce attack. But now, the momentum of the pseudo-emperor and the blood suppression power of the holy totem made these little demons hide in their nests and tremble. The little demons who were exiled from the Kunlun demon kingdom to dominate here. For this terrifying suppression, it was as if the peerless demons in the depths of Kunlun were ready to appear in the world. Tang Mao did not cause any trouble for these sensible kindling demons. After coming out of the plane, he passed through the outer city and went straight to the inner city. Although the ancient capital is no longer plagued by the undead, the outer city is still surrounded by city walls. Of course, there are no ordinary people living in the outer city now. Here, all the military are stationed. When Tang Mao and Fairy Lion directly entered the ancient capital, the military mages were shocked. Especially the mages guarding the outer city wall. They didn't even have time to react. In fact, they also wanted to react, but Fairy Lion's sense of oppression was too strong. When they arrived outside the inner city wall, Fairy Lion stopped. While they were rushing over, the news was also quickly transmitted that the barrier of the inner city wall had been opened. Yao Ting, the general military commander in charge of the ancient capital's military, and Han Ji, the president of the bell tower, rushed here at the same time. Old man Han, Yao Junsi, long time no see. Seeing them come out, Tang Mao realized that he was a bit high profile. It was just that he didn't say this. Otherwise, Han Ji and Yao Ting would probably spray him to death. Is this a bit high profile? There are not many people in the world who come here stepping on a feather demon that is more terrifying than the corpse of the mountain. Tang Mao? However, the two have a good relationship with Tang Mao. After all, Tang Mao helped a lot during the catastrophe of the ancient capital. Even the millions of people in the ancient capital owe him a favor. What? It's been such a short time since we last met, and you don't recognize me anymore. Tang Mao stepped off Fairy Lion's body and came to the inner city barrier. This barrier has no resistance to humans. After all, it is not intelligent. It is used to guard against demons. Ha, it's really you, kid. Hanji was a little surprised, and then he thought of something and hurriedly said, let's go, follow me to the bell tower. After Tang Mao took Fairy Lion, Yao Ting also understood and told his subordinates some things, and then followed them to the bell tower. Regarding the two guys being mysterious, Tang Mao asked directly, what are you two doing? Why are you so mysterious? You kid has caused such a big mess. Why don't you know to keep a low profile? Hanji took Tang Mao back quickly, while dissatisfied and reproaching. Yes, you kid is too impulsive. However, now the Chinese military magicians are proud of you and are grateful to you. Yao Ting also muttered. However, he did not complain about anything, but seemed very grateful to Tang Mao. Listening to the two of them talking, Tang Mao had a rough idea. After stopping, Tang Mao said to Hanji in a puzzled look. Old Han, are you in such a hurry to take me to the clock tower because you are afraid that the people in the Magic Association will know that I have returned to China? Hanji saw Tang Mao stop and asked directly, and nodded. You know it. You are still so ostentatious, even if you know it. Although the Magic Association has not issued a wanted notice for you, it does not mean that you killed Sulo and this matter is over. Hanji said a lot of things earnestly, mainly to let Tang Mao quickly follow him to the clock tower first. At least there will be no one there who can leak the news. In fact, Hanji is quite happy that Tang Mao came here. Here, Tang Mao has millions of famous supporters from the ancient capital, and anyone who wants to take him has to think twice. Tang Mao didn't think too much, but looked at Yao Ting again, and then said, has Feng Zhaolang's fusion magic equipment and guidance program been implemented in the military? Yes, come to think of it, I have to thank you. Feng Zhaolang told us about the Asian Magic Association in person. Yao Ting briefly recounted it. After listening to him, Tang Mao understood. Although fusion magic has not yet been distributed in large quantities, the military mages at the officer level have already been equipped. And in the coastal battlefield, there should be nearly half of the military mages who can already cast elementary and intermediate fusion magic. The combat effectiveness, I don't know how much it has been enhanced. Moreover, the 5 major military leaders in the country have also issued a ban, and this method can only be used by the military. If it is discovered that it is leaked, it will be killed without mercy. In addition, Xiao Zheng also issued a message that no forces that do not belong to the military magician are allowed to explore the secrets. But in fact, these do not need to be worried about. If Liao Feng's design was really so easy to understand, it would not be inherited after his death. After Tang Mao heard this, he explained to Hanji, who wanted him to leave quickly, I have fought with the high-level officials of the other 4 continent magic associations. What? X2 After hearing what Tang Mao said, Hanji and Yao Ting were both stunned. After all, Tang Mao didn't look like he had fought before, right? Before returning to China, I just fought with the high-level officials of the 4 continent magic associations in the snowy mountains of the Alps. Tang Mao repeated. I got inside information. This time, the one who arrested you was the United Holy Court. You. Hanji was a little unconvinced. After all, it was rare for the 4 continent magic associations to join forces. But as long as they joined forces, there would be no rebels that they couldn't take down. Although he didn't think Tang Mao was wrong, how could the 5 continent magic associations, which had controlled power for a long time, allow others to provoke them? If it weren't for the angels who ruled the human world, Tang Mao would not be wanted secretly at this time, and it is very likely that he would have announced it to the world. The status of the Holy City Angels is even older than that of the Magic Association. It is hard to say who is stronger and who is weaker, but one thing is certain, the 2 sides are not one and the same. Moreover, the Alps are the territory of the Holy Inquisition. Chapter 810, Under the Emperor, you can step on me at will. Old Man Han, when did I, Tang Mao, ever lie? The leader of their team this time is an old man named Anjana. It seems to be someone from the North American Magic Association, and Tang Mao told all the people whose names he heard, including the 2 priests of the Holy Court. He didn't know these people, but Hanji, the president of the Bell Tower Magic Association, certainly knew them. Then Hanji believed it a little. Tang Mao had fought with them, but he still didn't understand how Tang Mao escaped. One named Easy ran away, and the rest were dealt with by me. As for the 2 from the Holy Court, they didn't intend to get involved. They were just playing soy sauce throughout the whole process. Tang Mao said lightly. He forgot about the embarrassing deeds of being destroyed first and then sealed. But there is a saying that is right. History is always written by the winner. If he died or was sealed, the Magic Association would definitely list all his various sins one by one, and then judge him, and give him the result in the end. But now, he did not lose, but they suffered heavy losses. Hanji paused, looking at Tang Mao, feeling somewhat incredible. Although Tang Mao had a demon as his foundation, he had always been very strong. Hanji knew that. But for now, he was too strong, right? The magic associations of the 4 continents 7 forbidden spell mages and the priests of the Holy Court were all unable to do anything to him. In the end, 6 died and 1 was injured. Although Yao Ting didn't know much about the Magic Association, he knew from Hanji's appearance that these people might be extraordinary. What realm are you in now? Why do I feel that I can't see through your cultivation? Yao Ting asked. As he spoke, Hanji suddenly realized, yes, he couldn't see through Tang Mao's strength. Tang Mao was tightly wrapped in the powerful fire elemental power, and there was no trace of it at all. The fire element is about to be forbidden. I came here mainly to seek something that can cross the threshold of forbidden spells. He didn't have anything to hide from these 2 old acquaintances. To put it bluntly, everyone had experienced life and death together. The 2 of them took a breath of cold air when they heard it. Is this a forbidden spell? When they were already powerful superclass mages, Tang Mao was just a high-level mage. Since the national government, the speed of his cultivation is just like riding a rocket, right? Question mark? What about your other magic systems? Hanji also asked. He knew that Tang Mao had a lot of magic systems. When he was just a high-level mage, he had already mastered 7 magic systems. If you add the demon system, it would be 8. The fire system has touched the threshold of forbidden spells. The thunder system, shadow system, space system, and ice system have all reached the super level perfection. The wind system has reached the super level 3rd level, and the summoning system, sound system, chaos system, and light system have reached the super level 2nd level. Tang Mao said with a smile. In the recent battles, every time he has exploded all his potential. Every time, he has also improved like a rocket. The 2 of them were silent again. Comparing people, this is simply infuriating. 10 magic departments have reached the super level. Even the magic department of the miner has surpassed their current realm. As for the latter ones, it seems that they are not paid much attention, but they have already reached the 2nd level of the super level. If you don't use your trump card, your current strength. Hanji hesitated and asked. For example, the level of the seeking skeleton can be destroyed in minutes. Tang Mao said confidently. Even if his fire department has not yet crossed the forbidden spell, the invincible monarch and pseudo emperor are not enough. And his current strength should be the same as the demon incarnation of the northern border, right? Not as good as the emperor, but crushing the emperor. Okay, don't talk so much. I came here to ask you for something. Tang Mao interrupted the surprise of the 2 and said. Can the ancient capital still have something you like? Hanji asked in confusion. It's the broken soul feather coat in the most noble display cabinet of your ancient capital museum. Tang Mao said directly. With his current strength, if he asks the country for some things, I think he will not refuse. Besides, he was only coming to the ancient capital, so Hanji had no reason to stay away. Sure enough, Hanji agreed directly, and he didn't even need to ask anyone. But he still asked curiously, the feathered clothes can naturally be given to you, but what do you want it for? That was left by the holy totem Suzaku. I'm here to revive it. Holy totem? Tang Mao waved his hand impatiently and said, I told you to, but you don't understand. Anyway, take me there quickly. Before, he didn't want this clothes, not because he didn't know its use. It was just that it was useless at that time. But now it's different. The Changming divine bird has merged into his body and become his heart. The power of Kinyuan's origin fire, Kingluan fire phoenix's origin fire, and the origin black flame of the black dragon are enough to revive the power of Suzaku and absorb it into him. Okay, let's go. Hanji didn't say any more nonsense, but at this time, he was no longer in a hurry to take Tang Mao away. He was not afraid that Tang Mao's whereabouts would be leaked by people from other forces. The magic associations of several continents are probably still in a mess now, right? Now that the major powers are facing external and internal troubles, if they still have people coming to trouble themselves, then this magic association should really be disbanded. Moreover, when heading to the ancient capital museum, Hanji told Tang Mao that the whole of Africa is now facing a full-scale attack from the Sahara Demon Empire. He was also quite surprised to hear that the demons of the Sahara Empire were dispatched. He originally thought that the Sahara Emperor was just making a harsh statement to him, but he didn't expect that he really took action. The demons of the Sahara have lived in the Sahara for a long time and rarely go out, but the overall combat power of the demon empire there is not much worse than that of the ocean demons. However, their number cannot be compared with that of the ocean demons. As long as the ocean demons hide in the distant sea and the deep sea, humans can't harass them at all, but the Sahara demons are different. Although it is a forbidden place for humans, it does not mean that no humans have ever set foot in it. However, since they dare to challenge the whole of Africa, it is enough to prove the horror of this demon empire. Moreover, this was enough to prove how much the other party wanted his elemental pet. Of course, maybe the other party was also dissatisfied with his provocation, living for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. And in front of such a tiny human like him, it killed all of its subordinates. Chapter 811 Not a bloodthirsty person. No matter what, improving strength is the most important thing for him at the moment. When his strength alone can reverse the trend of a country's war, that is the real strength. Now, it is still a little bit lacking. After getting the feather clothes, Tang Mao did not stay for long and left. He returned directly to Yuxu City and Phenio City. When he arrived in Phenio City, he still came back with a very high attitude. Fei Lian's huge body and the awe-inspiring momentum. Even if he wanted to keep a low profile, he couldn't keep a low profile. Of course, he didn't think about keeping a low profile at all. Otherwise, there would be such a big commotion there. So big that Mu Bei, the leader of the Southern Wing Mage Corps of Phenio City, came here. What? Don't you recognize me? Or do you want to practice with me? Tang Mao looked at Mu Bei and asked with a smile. Boss Tang, why are you back at this time? There are many people from the Magic Association here recently, Mu Bei said in a low voice. Oh. He was not too surprised. If he guessed correctly, the magic associations of several continents should not know the situation here. Then he asked, are they from our domestic magic association, or from the Asian Magic Association? They are from the Asian Magic Association, Mu Bei said truthfully. As a member of Yuxu City, he had long noticed the existence of these people. In addition to some things in Asia, Mu Bei had long judged why these people came here. It's okay, it's a small scene, you go and do your own thing. Tang Mao waved his hand and said indifferently. Then he went back to Yuxu City. On the way back, he did notice that there were shadow mages, space mages, and wind mages in several places. I think they should all come here to monitor. I'll give you 3 minutes. If you don't get out, you will die. Tang Mao used sound magic to spread his voice to the ears of each of them. After all, they were just some small shrimps who came to gather information. There was no need to kill them all. Of course, if these people didn't know what was good for them, he couldn't blame them. He didn't love blood, but he wouldn't let go of those who wanted to die. At the moment when Tang Mao used the sound system to transmit his words to everyone's mind, these people almost had no intention of staying and used various means to escape to leave here. They thought they were already very hidden, but the other party used the sound system to transmit the sound to everyone's ears. How terrifying this strength must be. They couldn't imagine it at all. How could they monitor such a person? Are they qualified? In less than 30 seconds, those people from the Magician Association left the territory of Yuxu City in a flash. After blasting these people away, he returned to the city. After receiving the news that Tang Mao had returned, Mu Ningxu personally led the people in the city to greet him. After arriving at his own territory, Fei Lian was free. From this moment on, it was no longer a mount for transportation, but a powerful holy totem. Go to the back mountain to choose your own resting place. Today, Fei Lian no longer needs to be locked in the totem vessel every day. Tang Mao also gave it the same conditions for a free life as Zuansh and others. This guy simply learned his lesson after a beating. Moreover, with the growth of his own strength, he hardly needs to give any orders now, which is very considerate. What are you doing standing there? I haven't seen you for more than a month, and you don't recognize me? Tang Mao said to Mu Ningxu who was standing there blankly. Have you and Ashiruao got the marriage certificate? Tang Mao felt bad when she heard it. This is different from what she thought. Shouldn't Mu Ningxu first care about her, and what will happen after the Asian War? Question mark? Ahem. Looking at the several senior executives of Yuxu City, Tang Mao gestured. These people understood immediately and left here one by one. Jiang Shaoxu said dissatisfiedly. I also want an identity certificate. After the others left, Tang Mao discovered that Jiang Shaoxu, this little hoof, was also here. By the way, she seemed to really stay here and directly became the head of the family here. Usually when she has nothing to do, she will live here and eat and drink for free. It's outrageous. Don't make a fuss. That's just a certificate from Greece. It can't prove anything in our country. Tang Mao explained. Asheruaya, this damn foxhoof, actually said everything I wanted to. Although Muningsu's voice was very calm, her eyes were full of desire. Seeing the two women like this, they didn't look like they were joking at all, and Tang Mao was a little overwhelmed. Fortunately, the two women probably knew his difficulty. Then Jiang Shaoxu said, I want American ones, and she wants German ones. Is that not okay? It was rare for them to be considerate for once, but Tang Mao always felt that something was wrong. However, he finally nodded and said, okay, then let's go there when we have time. Now there are sea monsters flooding in China. Don't bother so much, we are ready. Jiang Shaoxu continued. Open bracket closed bracket exclamation mark. Tang Mao was a little overwhelmed by this operation. But after seeing a person coming out with 3 books, he saw it and understood that he was really ready. It seemed that he only needed to nod his head. Moreover, there were domestic ones among them. Domestic ones, of course, were Tang Yu's. Don't you know that I have offended one of the world's top forces? Tang Mao asked after hesitating. At this moment, of course, the less he has to do with it, the better. That's why we do this. Besides, my father told me that, although you are a playboy, he still admires you for what you have done for the Chinese soldiers. Jiang Shaoxu continued. Then can I object? Tang Mao asked again. Sister Tang Yu said that, if you like to take on everything by yourself, she doesn't mind us giving you a few hats to increase your weight. Jiang Shaoxu continued. Rough when Tang Mao heard this, he didn't say anything, and directly hugged the two women one on each side and said, since you want it, then I agree. What can't be said nicely? What hats? I don't need in this life. The people from the Magic Association have been here recently. Did you notice when you came back? Muningsu asked softly, enjoying the safety. She was still the same, so cold, not as enthusiastic as when she was driving. But the concern is genuine. It's okay, at least they won't bother me again until the war between monsters and humans ends. That's good. I don't want you to hide anything from me or us next time. Well, no. Damn it, do you want to? No, I'm a serious person. Then take your hand out. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 812, The Other Half of the Soul. After a full night of communication with Muningsu and Jiang Shaoxu, Tang Mao took a bath and left contentedly only after the two women could no longer bear it and fell asleep. Speaking of which, this was still the case with Jiang Shaoxu, and he defeated that. Of course, he also made a lot of promises last night. Although this time, the Asian Magic Association was in order to promote the evolution of mankind, it was too risky after all. However, taking risks also pays off. The fusion magic configuration that no other force in the country can get. Everyone in the high level of Yuxu City has it. In addition, the earliest people who served here also got the configuration equipment of fusion magic. It can be said that the power of the entire Yuxu City has been enhanced in a different way at this moment. It's a pity that this matter cannot be announced, otherwise, there will be more magicians joining Yuxu City. After leaving the villa area of the mountain villa, Tang Mao rushed to where Yushishi lived. When he was on his way to Yushishi's residence, he happened to meet Ding Yumian, who was jogging in the morning. It was really rare for a girl to jog in the morning in a magic world. After seeing Tang Mao, Ding Yumian was stunned for a moment, and then asked, "You're back. Did you miss me?" Tang Mao naturally couldn't leave without seeing this thing, before he even had it in his mouth. As the saying goes, things that you don't get are the most delicious. Ding Yumian's mouth twitched slightly, and she looked like she didn't know whether she should speak or not. The main thing was that she didn't know whether she should say she wanted it or didn't want it. In fact, she herself didn't know. Okay, you don't have to say it. When Tang Mao saw her like this, he immediately didn't want to know the result. Anyway, the result was probably not what he wanted. Seeing Tang Mao say this, Ding Yumian felt a little relieved, and then asked again, "Are you okay?" She also knew about the Asian Magic Association. Living here every day, she would know what the people here know, so she would naturally know everything. "Do you think I look like someone who has something going on?" Tang Mao asked back. While speaking, he lowered his head and approached her. He kissed Ding Yumian's fragrant lips like a dragonfly touching the water. Ah. Ding Yumian was kissed in public and screamed subconsciously. But soon, she covered her mouth and said in a reproachful tone, "What are you doing?" "Fuck." Ding Yumian shook her head and looked at Tang Mao's lovely appearance. Seeing this, he had to give up. The main reason was that he didn't have much energy. He really lost too much Yang Yuan last night. "I want to go back to Mingsu Academy, can I?" Ding Yumian stretched out her little hand, grasped the corner of Tang Mao's clothes and asked softly. This woman used to have an indifferent temperament. This sudden coquettishness really caught Tang Mao off guard. This is simply too tempting, right? But for some reason, he always felt that something was wrong. Ding Yumian today really triggered the desire to protect her. Suddenly thinking of something, Tang Mao's face changed slightly and said, "You are not Ding Yumian. What are you talking about? If I'm not Ding Yumian, who am I?" Hearing Tang Mao's sudden words, Ding Yumian was also stunned, pouting and asking dissatisfiedly, "I didn't say you are not a person, but your soul." Tang Mao continued, "You are talking nonsense." Ding Yumian hasn't finished speaking, but after looking at Tang Mao's playful expression, the corners of her mouth slightly raised, and then she said, "Oh, how did you see that? You are very attractive today, but it's a pity that she has always been a calm woman." Tang Mao responded, "That's right. I forgot that I have always been in control of joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. She is just a light soul occupying the main body of the shell." Ding Yumian said with a smile. Her voice did not change at all, but the whole person gave people a greatly changed look. Tang Mao was not very surprised by this. Her spiritual realm is very powerful. It can be said that compared with Tang Mao now, it is not much different, or even stronger. But until now, if she didn't show it, no one could find it at all. It's not that her hiding ability is so good, but that the she who has all the emotions has been suppressed. If I remember correctly, after Ding Yumian committed suicide, the soul hidden in her body became a ghost, and it was a very powerful ghost. Instantly mastered an army of undead sirens. But Tang Mao was a little puzzled. At this time, Ding Yumian had been in Yuxu City. How did this she occupy the body? It seems that you are not very surprised about my existence. Ding Yumian saw Tang Mao looking at her without much expression, and continued. You are you. Even if your personality is different, you are still you. What should I be surprised about? Although Tang Mao was curious, he did not ask directly. This kind of soul that has been suppressed for a long time is inevitably a little rebellious. Can't be spoiled. HMPH, if you want to know, I can tell you. I won't keep you in suspense. Actually, the main reason why I can occupy the body is thanks to you. Since I was suppressed, she has been almost like a blank sheet of paper. She doesn't fight or compete. She doesn't feel happy or angry. She doesn't feel sad or happy. But it's because of you that her pent-up emotions burst out. When she knew about the Asian Magic Association, she was able to face her weak emotions. And I got a short period of freedom because of this. Ding Yumian told Tang Mao everything that happened to her, almost without reservation. After she finished speaking, Tang Mao was even more confused. Why do you want to tell me this? Because she is me, and I'm her. She and I are the ones who like you. And, in fact, I like you more than she does, Ding Yumian said, and suddenly moved closer. Tang Mao didn't reject this. Although her temperament has changed, she is right. She is her. And, it doesn't matter whether she is or not. He is greedy for her body. There is no such thing as noble love. Tang Mao still likes her straightforwardness and closeness even more. It's not that he doesn't like the indifferent Dingumian. That silly girl also has her appeal. Otherwise, he wouldn't have interfered in her affairs. After a sweet when, Dingumian suddenly said, I don't have much time. If you want me, will you be suppressed back? Yes, I only go out for 2 or 3 hours at most every day. So you want to get more freedom through me? She did this just to stimulate the feelings of Dingumian. Chapter 813. Something is wrong with Dingumian. Yes. Dingumian nodded and admitted. Why should I help you? Seeing her being so confident and asking him to do things with an attitude of controlling him, it was very uncomfortable. Before you came back, I learned a lot. Don't you want to test it? Dingumian was very confident, as if she was not afraid that Tang Mao would reject her. Well, not to mention, Tang Mao was a little curious when she heard that she studied hard. After all, there are not many people who love to study these days, and beautiful beauties don't like to study even more. Oh, except for the little rookie Ashiruaya, she may be the only girl who has studied. After all, although she seems to be very strong in theory, she is just a rookie in operation. It can be seen that the little woman is both rookie and loves to learn. Don't be like this, it's useless to me. It's not that he doesn't want to test the results, but the hardware doesn't allow it. You ran out so early, didn't you just want to find that moth girl? Is it because she is stained with demon blood that she is more attractive than me? You know, if you talk to me, you are experiencing different pleasures with two identical people. He had just come back and hadn't even taken a breath yet. He just wanted to find Yushishi, the little demon girl, to nurse him back to health. But he really couldn't control this Dingumian. The most important thing is that although he refused, he was still led to a road of no return by various provocations. But because he knew that she was still a girl, Tang Mao took her and disappeared on the spot. 2 hours later, Dingumian woke up. When she was about to get up, she felt as if her whole body was falling apart. The pain made her snort. After sitting up with difficulty, she found that there were traces of pinching on her white jade thighs and arms. This Dingumian was puzzled. What happened to her? Did someone come to her room after she fell asleep? But soon, she denied this idea. This is Yuxu City, Tang Mao's territory. The most important thing is that there are spirit moths guarding outside the place where they live. As long as someone approaches, the spirit moth will definitely issue a warning at the first time. The most important thing is that, even if she is sleeping soundly, if someone approaches, how can she not know? This makes her even more confused about what happened to her. On the other side, in Yushishi's cabin. Is it uncomfortable here? Yes, yes, yes. Rub it gently. Do you want to murder your husband? The culprit Tang Mao was enjoying Yushishi's healing massage technique at this time. Fortunately, the time that the other Dingumian is online is limited. Otherwise, he really can't imagine whether he will die. What the hell? This woman obviously doesn't know anything. How can she be more foxy than Giant Fox? Sure enough, the indifferent Dingumian is better. Bah, you deserve it. Yushishi scolded dissatisfiedly, if you don't know the limits like you will die sooner or later. Humph. Originally, she wanted to say that he died on his belly, but then she thought that something was wrong. In comparison, she was also a part of Tang Mao. Bah. He was the one who was yelling at himself. Even if you become a shrew today, I don't have the energy to serve you. Tang Mao listened to what Yushishi said and responded softly. Go away, you shameless stinker. Yushishi glared at Tang Mao with a reproachful look. I have never seen such a person who doesn't know how to live or die. They are running out of ammunition and food here, but they still have the mood to joke with her. By the way, how are your pile of spirit moths? And what realm is the moon moth phoenix now? Tang Mao turned over and asked. The moon moth phoenix has recovered to the realm of the supreme monarch. The black snake seems to have become much stronger. Yushishi saw Tang Mao turn over, so she stopped. Although the Shark King is very powerful and is not afraid of the black snake's territory, they have not taken any big advantage at present because of the relationship with the moon moth phoenix. Although the West Lake has been occupied, Hangzhou is still safe. Oh, wait until I come out of retreat. I will go and deal with him. Tang Mao was not surprised by this. Although the black snake has become stronger, the other party has thousands of subordinates, and they are shark people, and there are 10 monarchs following them. It is impossible for the two of them to take advantage. You want to retreat? Yushishi paused and looked at Tangmyo and said, I don't want to, but I must practice well this time. Tangmyo nodded and said, speaking of it, there are magicians who retreat like him. But he is definitely the first one in the history of the world who can break through in retreat. He really doesn't want to practice in silence, but if he doesn't practice well, how can he face stronger opponents? The war between humans and demons has not really started until now. After all, those emperors have been hiding in the back, and have not shown up. Then why are you so extravagant? Yushishi looked at Tangmyo, and said with contempt, this is also a last resort. If I don't pay a little, what will you do, if you don't want to forgive me one day? Tangmyo said with a smile. It's not unreasonable for him to treat everyone equally. He is just afraid that, if the land in a certain place dries up for too long, it will introduce muddy water from other seas. Of course, this is actually impossible. After all, the magic water, that can only be produced by such an excellent person like him is not available to ordinary people. Fertile fields cannot be irrigated with all kinds of water, which greatly affects production. This is hard to say. What, do you have any ideas? Tangmyo leaned on his head with his hand, and looked at her. Yes, of course I have, too much. Pa. 10 minutes later, Tangmyo stopped and said, are there any more? Yushishi's eyes were red and misty, and she stared at Tangmyo stubbornly. No. With a very serious attitude, he said the most cowardly words. That's good, I always convince people with reason. Next time if you want to be naughty, I'm still willing to appeal to your emotions and reason to convince you. Go to hell. Yushishi couldn't bear it anymore, and complained silently in her heart. Pa, why did you hit me again? She was lying there, but Yushishi would be hit. Tangmyo responded with a smile, and then left. Yushishi was so angry that she stamped her feet, but she couldn't do anything. In the end, she could only comfort herself. I'm numb anyway. It doesn't matter if I hit her again. It doesn't hurt. Chapter 814 Top Forces Gather. After arriving at the mountain range of Yutsu City, Tangmyo randomly picked a mountain, dug a hole in it, and jumped in. With his current strength, it was easy to make a hole in a mountain. After he entered, a pillar of fire shot up into the sky. The pillar of fire shot up into the sky, and the clouds in the sky immediately turned fiery red. Then, the clouds of fire clouds rained down blazing fire, which burned the entire mountain where he was, and then the fire element around him also gathered here. Dong 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 dong. Who is it? Can't you let me rest so early in the morning? Hearing the hurried knock on the door outside, Jiang Shaoxu buried his head in the quilt and complained dissatisfiedly. Although Muningsu next to him was also very sleepy, she hurriedly got up, put on her pajamas and went out. After opening the door, seeing Xiaoyu, she asked, Xiaoyu, what's wrong? What happened? It was the first time that Xiaoyu saw Muningsu like this. However, she didn't care about gossip anymore, and said, it's bad. The fire element in the back mountain of Yutsu City have become dense, and a mountain range is burning red. There seems to be something there. Even I can't get close. Muningsu thought something had happened when she saw Xiaoyu like this, but after hearing what Xiaoyu said, she understood instantly. Looking at her, she explained, oh, it's okay. Tangmyo should be practicing there. What? Xiaoyu couldn't accept it. It's just practicing, but what the hell is it like burning the mountain and turning it into a sea of fire? Question mark? However, since Muningsu said so, she didn't have anything to worry about. Hey, Ningsu, is there someone else in your room? Xiaoyu suddenly thought of something, and looked at Muningsu and asked. The voice that just came out didn't seem to be hers, right? Muningsu was embarrassed, but she didn't mean to explain anything. Seeing this, Xiaoyu just smiled, and didn't ask any more questions. Then he said, then I'll go and give the order, you have a good rest. After Xiaoyu left Muningsu's house, she spread the news that Tangmyo was in seclusion there. After hearing that the owner of this city was in seclusion there, the people who were afraid that some big monster had come here before finally felt relieved. But at the same time, for this sudden owner, Some people who had seen Tang Mao and those who hadn't seen Tang Mao all felt respect for him. This operation is really amazing. The headquarters of the Asian Magic Association. Although it was destroyed once, as the core ruling place of the entire Asia, it quickly restored its original appearance. Today, the security outside the debate tower is particularly strict. Super-class magicians can be said to be everywhere. As the second in command of the Asian Magic Association, Shen-Yan sat on the main seat and looked at the angels, priests, and representatives of the magic associations of the other 4 continents who came here. Since everyone is gathered here, let's not hide it. Tang Mao despised the Magic Association and killed members of the Magic Association. He should abolish magic and be sentenced to death. What do you think? Although Shen-Yan stood at the top again because of Sulu's resignation. But as a leader, how could he allow such an unstable factor to exist in his jurisdiction? But he wanted to destroy Tang Mao? Haha, he was quite self-aware. Deputy Chairman Shen, we support your decision. For thousands of years, there has been only this person who has challenged the laws of mages. If he cannot be brought to justice, more lords of major countries will indeed be ready to move. Now is the time when demons are constantly invading various countries, and it is time to solve it. I remember the Chinese have a saying, called peace at home, before fighting against foreign enemies. Angel representative Uriel said. Tang Mao actually made a mistake, that is, he thought that angels were not as many as those controlled by the Magic Association. But he didn't understand that it was the angels who had always controlled the world. It's not his fault. After all, Sulu dared to provoke the angel, which subconsciously made him think that the angel was just that. But it was not the case. The reason why Sulu wanted to win the Black Dragon as a summon beast was only because the Black Dragon's strength completely suppressed the angel. Everything in the world is mutually reinforcing and mutually restraining. This is the law of the world, and no one can change it. Those who can change it cannot be called human. Tang Mao, so I'm God. Each of their angels has extremely powerful magic that surpasses forbidden spells. Although Shajaya, also known as Gabriel, returned to the holy city and told the cause and effect of this matter. But this does not mean that she, an angel who has just returned, can really decide everything. Invited by the Asian Magic Association this time, the angels of the holy city came with the priest of the holy court. This priest was none other than Kaz, who had participated in the siege of Tang Mao before. In short, it's the same sentence. The water in this world is very deep, and the forces are also very complicated, just like a story, written randomly. With the support of Lord Uriel, it will be easy. Shen-Yan was very happy when he heard the support from the angels. He believed that, if the angels were willing to support him, no one from the other 4 continent magic associations would refuse. He was not Sulu, and he did not have the ambition of Sulu to overthrow the angels and establish a new kingdom. Are you kidding me? Angels are the spokespersons of God. They are born to be the superiors who rule the world. Seeing this, Kaz wanted to tell what he saw that day, but when he thought of Tang Mao's extremely powerful appearance, he thought it was better to forget it. The chief priest was right. It was better to pretend that he didn't know about this matter. It was also a sin for them to stand by and watch. As for the escaped Dexy, I believe he would not betray the priest of the holy court. After all, that was not the task of the holy court, and they were just responsible for helping to find him. Lord Angel, if you want to capture Tang Mao, you need your help. A representative from America stood up and said. Uriel was a little confused. A young man, do you still need him to help? You may not know that not long ago, the 4-Continent Magic Association lost 6 high-level members who all died at the hands of this man named Tang Mao. As far as I know, only President Dexy escaped. The man continued. When this was said, Shen-Yan of the Asian Magic Association and the Angel Uriel were stunned. After all, this incident just happened not long ago, and they really didn't have any news. But the 4-Continent Magic Association was different. After Dexy returned, he told them about this. Moreover, they also sent people to confirm this matter, but unfortunately, before they had time to report it to the angel, the person in charge of the Asian Magic Association called them over. Chapter 815 Angel's Plan. Uriel said coldly. Impossible. No matter how strong a young boy is, how can he deal with 7 forbidden spells? The combined power of the 7 forbidden spells can defeat even a medium-sized emperor, so how can they not defeat an ordinary Tang Mao? Lord Uriel, this is indeed true. Many of the holy judges were involved and died. Kaz also said. Uriel then recalled Gabriel, who had just returned. She also told him not to provoke Tang Mao. As an angel in charge of the world, how could he allow humans to resist him? Lord Uriel, Africa is now being invaded by the Sahara Demon Empire, and Asia has also been attacked by the Siren Dynasty. It is really inappropriate for us to deal with Tang Mao in a big way at this time, right? Zuhuanayao said. In fact, he did not support Shen Yan's decision from the beginning. But diplomacy can only reach his limit, and there is no chance to go to the next step. In fact, Zuhuanayao wanted to kill Tang Mao more than anyone else, but the memory of the recent period was too profound. Moreover, the thoughts of several military leaders in China were clearly transmitted. No matter who it is, don't even think about touching Tang Mao in China. There is no other reason, just because Tang Mao has made a huge contribution to the Chinese military, and this contribution was originally intended to be presented by Feng Zhaolang to the Magic Association. But who knew that Sulu wanted to kill and silence him, destroying the opportunity for human progress? Although Zuhuanayao understood what Sulu did, it would be fine if you succeeded, but you didn't succeed, but failed. There is nothing to say. The loser has no right to speak. So he spoke at this time. The people of the Magic Association of the other 4 continents are actually afraid of Tang Mao. 7 forbidden spells, even as powerful as the Magic Association, can't afford to lose some. The most important thing is that the people of the Magic Association in Africa need to send strong men to fight against the Sahara Demon Empire. The Sahara Demon Kingdom has launched a full-scale war. If they don't respond, and Africa is really completely destroyed in the end, what kind of high and mighty are they? Once the vulgar people realize that they have been abandoned, even those who are high above will suddenly fall to the ground. The other 3 continents also have their own difficulties. In short, they don't want to get involved in Tang Mao's affairs, but they didn't refute the angel's face. They are all a group of cunning foxes. After learning about Tang Mao, Shen Yan had already fought with the people of the 4-continent Magic Association and killed 6 forbidden spells. To be honest, he was a little panicked. Killing Sulu, fighting the Dark King, and the weird killing method. He felt that his decision was a bit hasty. But even if he wanted to regret it, it was too late now. Lord Uriel, what do you think? Shen Yan looked at Uriel again. To be honest, if Zuhuanayao, the old fox, stabbed him in the back and reported today's events back to their country, if Tang Mao knew about it, facing the attack of demons, it is the business of the military of each country. They don't like to be controlled by us. In this case, let them face it themselves. As for Tang Mao, humph. At worst, we can just call him to the holy city, Uriel said coldly. Seeing that the angels had decided to eradicate the aliens, everyone naturally can't say anything more. However, at least someone has taken this matter, and it has nothing to do with them at present. Feinao City, behind the mountain of Yuxu City. 7 days have passed since Tang Mao started his retreat. The temperature where he is getting higher and higher, but what is a little strange is that only the place on that mountain is like this, and other places are still the same. In recent days, all countries near the Pacific Ocean have suddenly cooled down. Obviously, summer has not ended yet, but there is already a situation of frozen rivers and flying frost. I thought it was just a short-term change, but this change lasted for 3 months, and there was still no sign of improvement. Humans were unable to adapt to and accept this sudden natural disaster. Even though the country had obtained more powerful magic power, they could not resist this natural disaster. It was also because of this that the country chose to establish 5 base cities on the east coast. All cities and towns disappeared, and there were only 5 cities where humans could move on the east coast, namely the 5 base cities. Although the 5 base cities have a relatively vast land and a relatively large security boundary, compared with the past security boundary, where cities were connected to cities and villages were connected to towns, the range of activities has been greatly reduced. Migrating inland is a more effective solution. People began to give up the coastal defense, but the continuous cold attack caught the whole country off guard. Up to now, Tangmao has been in seclusion for more than 3 months, even almost 4 months. On this day, in the back mountain of Yuxu City, a huge soul shadow covered with flames suddenly appeared. This is a feathered monster, but it gives people the feeling that it is not a monster. When it appeared, Beihu and Felian rushed to the place where Tangmao was practicing and improving. They were so familiar with the aura that suddenly burst out. This was the aura of the holy totem, just like them. Felian was the holy totem itself, and Beihu was the direct descendant of the holy totem. Although it had not yet fully grown up, it was constantly getting stronger as it returned to Xianshan to accept the test again and again. However, both of them felt weak in front of this soul shadow. The strength of this holy totem was not something they could compare with. Perhaps the little white tiger had this hope. After all, they were willing to protect humans, after trying their best to betray once, and finally became the descendants of one of the 4 totem beasts. The holy totem in front of them was naturally the holy feather Suzaku. After it appeared, the totem beasts of the Suzaku clan transformed into red birds one by one, and descended from the sky to where Tangmao was. Among them, the most familiar one to them was the bird of the same name. When all the totems of the Suzaku clan fell into it, the Suzaku also completely descended. But, for a moment, the whole world was shaking. The power of the flames rushed straight into the sky, making the whole sky extremely hot. Before, there was a feeling of frost, but now it was suddenly back to the scorching summer. The movement here was so loud that Yuxu City and even Phenio City could feel the power. This was simply not the power that one person could burst out. Chapter 816, Fire of Nirvana. Where the flames burned, there was a feeling of a scorching summer day. The temperature seemed to continue to rise at this moment. Tangmao had already stopped in the sky without knowing when, and the soul of Suzaku had already dissipated. Muningsu, Jiangshaogsu, Yushishi, Lingling, Ding Yumian, Liu Ru, Liu Zion, Xiaoyu, Zuzaoting, Mu Bei and other Yuxu City high-level officials all rushed over. Why do I always feel that Tangmao is like the sun now? So warm, Jiangshaogsu said to himself as he felt the temperature rise around him. His fire system seems to have crossed that step. Muningsu responded. That step. Several people paused. Everyone here is strong, and they naturally know what step Muningsu is referring to. What else can it be except forbidden spells? From awakening magic to now, almost all of them have crossed to the level of superclass, and they are not ordinary superclass mages, but geniuses among geniuses. But I didn't expect that when I was complacent at the superclass level, others had already crossed to the forbidden spell level. As Tangmao opened his eyes, the blazing sun-like light slowly dissipated, but the temperature remained. He slowly landed on the ground, and everyone came closer. Tangmao, Patriarch, Boss Tang. Everyone had their own names. Tangmao nodded, and then said, has anything happened recently? This retreat lasted nearly 4 months. Although he could sense every move in Yuxu City, he had no idea about what was happening outside, so he asked. Nothing special, except Emofan and Zaomanan who were dealing with sea monsters everywhere. Everyone was busy with their own things. On the coastline, Muningsu told him about the recent events and changes. After learning about the coastline and the global cooling, Tangmao thought the Antarctic Emperor took action so quickly, although the other party was an emperor at the roof level. But the ability to cool the world is somewhat abnormal. However, he had just released the new flame Nirvana fire. Even if it could resist the coldness of the Southern Emperor, it was still quite exhausting to continue. Moreover, he couldn't act as the sun here to increase the temperature. The Nirvana fire was a new fire condensed from the fusion of multiple flames in his body. Suzaku, Kinglu and Fire Phoenix, and Kinyuan were all top feathered monsters. It was not only Changming Divine Bird that had the ability to be reborn from the fire. Now, as long as his flames were not extinguished, he could really be called immortal. He might not even have a twilight year. After absorbing the power of Suzaku, plus the holy totems, and various sky fires, soul fires, and initial fires in his body, his fire system almost directly obtained the power beyond the forbidden spell. Seeing Tang Mao silent, Jiang Shaoxu interrupted and said, Lingling and I have discovered a new totem. Let's not talk about this for now. You can arrange the planting. I will raise the temperature of Yuxu City first, so that it will not be affected by the cold. For humans, the war with demons is not the most terrible. The most terrifying thing is that there is no food. Even if it is a powerful magician, even him, without food and water, he will starve to death and die of thirst. Although he will not make a glowing electric lamp, he can still maintain an environment suitable for the growth of food in Yuxu City. Just increase the flame regularly. Master, are you saying that you can keep the temperature at the most suitable environment for food growth? Mu Linsheng, the steward of Yuxu City, asked with shining eyes. Yeah. Tang Mao nodded. Great, this is really great. If the temperature continues like this, what we humans lack most is probably food. If we can produce food on a large scale, then even if we have to fight a protracted war with the sea monster, what does it matter? Moreover, if Yuxu City can become the largest granary supply in the country, we will definitely be able to leapfrog the noble family and become a real noble family in one fell swoop. Mu Linsheng became more and more excited as he spoke. Although the current income of Yuxu City is also very stable, compared with those big noble families, they are still in a difficult situation. After all, the power is getting bigger and bigger, but the previous mines can only provide for the present. If you don't want to continue to develop the family, it's fine, but if you move forward, the funding problem may have a feeling of powerlessness. Tang Mao didn't think so much, nor did he think about making money from the national disaster. He just didn't want the people who followed him to have no food to eat one day. You are right, but I don't care whether you sell or not. One thing you must remember is that you can never lack food for everyone in Yuxu City, and you can never raise the price of food for countrymen. In addition, no matter what you want to do, I will not interfere. Don't worry, Patriarch. Mu Linsheng heard this and agreed immediately without saying a word. He is not the kind of person who makes money against his conscience, and, judging from the current situation, even the normal price is an absolute income. Tang Mao also specifically instructed, I said it is only for the countrymen, and the normal price is limited. Mu Linsheng paused, tasted it carefully, and immediately understood. Thinking carefully, it is all the countries in the Pacific Ocean that are cooling down. It's not just China. I understand. Tang Mao nodded with satisfaction, and then rushed straight into the sky. At the moment he rushed straight into the sky, everyone felt as if another sun was hanging in the sky. Then, the flames spread to all parts of Yuxu City, and even encompassed half of Finio City. The flames landed in the mountains, and the flames in the mountains soared into the sky. The power of the fire element seemed to be completely condensed here at this moment. When several mountains were red and the sky-high fire was dispersed, the temperature rose in an instant. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would dare to believe that magic could be played like this. What Tang Mao did was clearly a magic array. Moreover, it was a fire magic array completed by one person in a short period of time. From this, it can be seen what kind of realm his firepower has reached. After the mayor of Asinio City noticed the change in temperature, he immediately sent people to investigate the matter. Soon after, he got the news about the head of Yuxu City. After thinking about it, he reported it to his superiors. Chapter 817 Eri. After the arrangement was completed, he told Mu Linsheng to arrange the next things. The temperature here is definitely the most suitable for food. The reason why he can control every point so well is of course not something he can do alone. This is also thanks to the little Yanji. It is worth mentioning that with the improvement of Tang Mao's realm, Yanji, who shared the fire of Nirvana, also crossed to the level of the Supreme Monarch or even the Invincible Monarch in one fell swoop. Although it is still in the mature stage now, as long as it is given a chance, she will reach the peak of the Elemental Pet. The peak Elemental Pet is comparable to the existence of the Emperor. It is also because of the discovery of the changes in the little Yanji that the big girl got angry. When Yanji was still a small cloth point, it was about to approach the growth stage, and when she was in the mature stage, Yanji had also reached the mature stage. Its strength remained at the middle monarch, but Yanji still surpassed it by who knows how much. As the big girl, Zunu was naturally very dissatisfied. It was as if Yanji was the real biological child. Knowing why it was angry, Tangmao agreed to take it to Antarctica in the near future. To be honest, Tangmao was not sure at first. After all, the Emperor of the Roofline was obviously not someone he could handle. Defeating the Dark King was a limitation of this world. If there were no restrictions, even if it was just one of the many Dark Kings, it would have the strength of a high-level Emperor. Now he has improved, but he really can't be sure of what kind of strength the Roofline has. But when he was heating up Yuxu City before, Tangmao suddenly thought of something. He needed to consume energy to heat up himself, so would it not be necessary to cool down the Antarctic Emperor? This time might be the most appropriate time. Of course, more preparations still need to be made in advance. At least some more fire spirit seeds and soul seeds should be prepared. He didn't think there would be any fire spirit seeds and soul seeds in a place like Antarctica. After arranging everything, Tangmao went back to his room to rest. The completion of such a formation consumes a lot of magic energy. Even if it is a vast fire universe, the energy of the stars in the sky has consumed a full half. When he just leaned on the bed, the long sleeping nine-tailed fox came out. After the nine-tailed fox came out, it did not pounce on him as usual. Now she has also recovered to the strength of the Emperor, although it has not yet recovered to the peak. But with Tangmao constantly giving her special treatment, it is only a matter of time. But she is not happy at all now. After Tangmao crossed the forbidden spell, the mark of the contract has been so solid that it cannot be shaken. Unless she can go further, but she has not been able to go further for thousands of years. Now even if she is contracted and has been rapidly improved in cultivation, it is even more difficult to go further. Don't look so dejected. There is nothing wrong with following me. In the future, when my brother rules the world, you will still be the Empress. Looking at the nine-tailed fox, Tangmao said with a smile. Looking at her expression, who knows what she is thinking? Unfortunately, it is useless to think about it. Since the moment the contract was branded on her soul, he has never thought about lifting it. Moreover, now that he can help her recover anytime and anywhere, there is no need to cancel it. Ruling the world, huh? You don't know how high the sky is, and how deep the earth is. The nine-tailed fox said with disdain, when he heard it. Why do you not know how high the sky is, and how deep the earth is? I'm only 26 years old now. Even if we calculate it according to the lifespan of our human beings in 100 years, I still have more than 70 years. Do you think I will always stay where I am? From the awakening of magic to now, it has only been a few years, and he has reached a realm that others may need 30 or 40 years to reach. In this case, how can he not be confident? He never had such an idea before, but now, those old monsters that have existed for a long time, maybe he will not be the opponent now, but as long as he is given a chance, everything in the future will be an unknown. The nine-tailed fox was silent for a while. By the way, you have been following me for so long, but I have never given you a name. How about I give you a name? Tangmao continued to ask. This emperor has a name. The nine-tailed fox said lightly. Your name is not Daji. Tangmao paused and asked. The nine-tailed fox was stunned, looking at Tangmao in disbelief, and then said, how do you know my sister's name? I'm stupid. He had also read the books of the magic world, but he was sure that there was no such thing as Daji the demon fox. And he just said it casually. Unexpectedly, this fox was actually with her sister. I thought you were a frog in the well, but I didn't expect you to know its existence. The nine-tailed fox was also slightly shocked, and then said, my name is Suali. You are also a local fox, so how did you run to that tiny place? Ali seemed to not want to talk about this matter, and said perfunctorily, I'm happy to. Her situation is no different from mine, but her sister is at least different from my two sisters. She is not hunted all over the world. At this time, there was another space fluctuation, and Apis also came out. Well, a snake, a fox, each more charming than the other. The petite snake woman moved coquettishly, had a beautiful face, swaying pearls in her earrings, and a slender waist. Most importantly, she bore a weight that she shouldn't bear at her age. The fox, on the other hand, had a pair of big seductive eyes. Whenever she looked straight at him, she gave people a feeling of seduction. Her red lips were as bright as red. Her skin was as white as a newly peeled water chestnut, and when she licked a tiny black mole at the corner of her mouth, she became even more charming. For a moment, he seemed to understand why Zuzian liked snakes, and why the family with the same surname as him, Tang, liked soul beasts so much. Although their original bodies could not make people have any ideas, they were all extremely beautiful when they turned into humans. Humph, this emperor is different from you. I just don't like Kunlun. Ali was particularly unhappy with Apis. If it weren't for this snake woman, how could he be conquered by Tang Mao, a dog man? I also know something about your nine-tailed fox clan. The nine-tailed sky fox, one of the current Kunlun demon lords, should be your sister. It doesn't chase you, because she is not afraid of what you will do. I don't think there is any need to talk about the difference in strength between the two of you. Apis didn't care about her hostility at all. Anyway, she couldn't do anything to her. Li was immediately unhappy when she heard it. Tang Mao came back to his senses and asked, Apis, how do you know about them? And one of the Kunlun demon lords? Do you think you are the only one who is constantly improving? Apis said very proudly. When she said this, Tang Mao realized that this little snake woman had reached the pseudo-emperor realm without knowing when. Maybe she improved so quickly because of her talent. Okay. There is also her own hard work in this. Okay. Damn it, don't look for me if you have the ability. Tang Mao complained dissatisfiedly. But that's where they come to you. Aren't you the one who pulls them out every time? Chapter 818 The Five Masters Meet, Rewards and Extra Updates. Looking at her aggrieved little appearance, Tang Mao was stunned. It seemed that it was probably true. This little snake girl was always called out by herself. But is she really free of desire? Every time the code came out, there were all kinds of clip sounds, and she deliberately twisted her exquisite figure. With Tang Mao's negative resistance, even if she didn't have any ideas, she would have ideas. I've decided, Apis, you should practice on your own in the future. I'm cheating when I help you, which is not good. Tang Mao said seriously. However, Apis didn't care at all and smiled sweetly. That's just right. I've had enough sleep recently and I want to go out for a walk. As she said that, she stretched. Well, it's just too perfect. Tight where there shouldn't be meat and full of elasticity where there should be meat. It's just right. I also want to go around here, so let's go together. Although Ali was unhappy with Apis, they were neighbors in the same space after all, and the two of them were different from several elemental pets. Just woke up and walked around. Is it because I can't control you, or what? Just ignore me like this? Seeing the two little fairies twisting their hips and leaving together, Tang Mao was immediately dissatisfied. Wasn't he the master? Could it be that you are in this state and you still want to do bad things? Aren't you afraid? Apis said, looking at a certain place with a hint of meaning. I have just confirmed that he is not helpful at all now. Ali interrupted. If Tang Mao still didn't understand what the two fairies meant, wouldn't he be a fool? Question mark? He immediately pulled them back one by one. Today I must teach you two a lesson. Tang Mao said very seriously, and then threw them one by one. 2 hours later, Apis took Ali out of the house. The two little fairies seemed to have no effect at all. On the other hand, Tang Mao looked like he was dying and collapsed there. It turns out that these two little goblins have a suction power. Terrible. Too terrible. Tang Mao recalled the scenes just now, muttering to himself. Before the retreat, the little confidence he had just found from Muningsu and Jiang Shaoxu was ruthlessly shattered in just 2 hours today. It turns out that Apis's life and death before was just to accelerate her growth and not to hit her confidence. Praise him for trusting her so much. This snake woman has completely learned bad things from this dead fox. But it is clear that the two little goblins don't get along so well. Why did you call the brothers here today? I think you have all received the news, right? The middle-aged man in a military coat and a serious face on the main seat said. It's because Tang Mao is back. Huazhenhan replied. This kid is really a monster, but the Magic Association is looking for him now, and he came back so ostentatiously at this time. AI Junhe, who was also wearing a military coat and had a square face, said next to Huazhenhan. Although this kid is indeed a bit lawless, I don't think he did anything wrong, just because he saved the means of fusion magic for us. Yin Yan from the West said, do those brothers mean to offend the Magic Association and do their best to protect him? Yang Yan from the East asked, of course we have to protect him. I tell you, no matter the progress this kid has brought us this time or the various contributions he has made before, we should protect him. Moreover, Feng Zhaolong has already stated that, although he developed the fusion method, it would not have appeared in the world if it weren't for Tang Mao. Just for this point, if we don't protect him, I'm afraid none of our subordinates will do it. And the people of the ancient capital and the northern border, who Zhenhang said as he looked at them. At present, Tang Mao's status and fame are definitely not lower than anyone present. Whether it is a military or ordinary people, there are so many people who support and love him. Who among the big guys present does not understand this truth? In fact, the main reason I called you here is not this matter. Jiang Xianyuan interrupted a few people and then said, the feud between this kid and the Magic Association has ended. Just before he came back, he solved the 6 senior officials of the 4-continent Magic Association by himself. Everyone present has seen big storms, but when they heard Jiang Xianyuan's words, they were all shocked. Although they have the same position, Jiang Xianyuan is still in charge of diplomatic affairs. Moreover, no matter which side the military leader is, he is busy every day. Who has the mind to pay attention to one person's affairs every day? Is this kid so strong now? Hu Zhenhang said in a daze. Speaking of which, he had met Tang Mao not long ago. Although his strength is indeed not weak, it is not as good as the forbidden spell. When a Continental Magic Association takes action, it must be a forbidden spell master. 7 forbidden spell masters, 1 injured and 6 dead? Question mark? Hu Zhenhang is very confident in his own strength. Now that he has mastered fusion, there are definitely few people among humans who can fight him. However, if it is 1 against 7, he has no confidence at all. Ye Jiang Xianyuan nodded. I'm also surprised, but this is true. Just 3 months ago, the vice president of the Asian Magic Association invited the magic associations of the other 4 continents, the Holy Court and even the Angels of the Holy City, to discuss a meeting to deal with Tang Mao. Old Jiang, this is your fault. Why didn't you tell us about this? AI Junhur asked immediately. That's right. Old Jiang, why did you just say it now for such an important matter? Listening to the chattering of several people, Jiang Xianyuan was very upset and hurriedly explained, it just so happened that the temperature of all the countries near the Pacific Ocean dropped, and there seemed to be an angel inside the holy city who chose to protect this kid, and because of the endless war in Africa, they didn't take action. After listening to his explanation, the others were relieved a little. Then why did you call us here today? Hu Zhenhang asked. Jiang Xianyuan responded, just the day before yesterday, I got the news that, as soon as Tang Mao came out of seclusion, the temperature in most of Phenio City rose. For this reason, I specially contacted Xiaoxu to confirm it. According to her, the boy has crossed the level of forbidden spells. Even his fire system can resist the extreme cold of the South Pole Emperor, making Yuxu City a place for growing grain. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 819 My Dad Wants to See You. Now that the temperature has dropped across the Pacific Ocean, food has naturally become the most important thing. War is not terrible, but if there is no surplus food, let alone resisting the demons, they will starve to death. This is the most terrible thing. After hearing what Jiang Xianyuan said, they immediately realized the important thing. That is, Tang Mao can resist the invasion of this cold air. Old Jiang, what you said is true. Yin Yan asked. You know, since the temperature dropped, even the western region has been affected. If it continues like this, a food crisis will soon occur. Can I joke about this kind of thing? Jiang Xianyuan said decisively. However, although this is true, I don't know if he can expand this place. Moreover, is he willing to do so? Hu Zhenhang thought for a while and said, this is not simple. We can just call that kid to ask him. Leohua, don't think things are too simple. Tang Mao is no longer the Tang Mao who needed our protection. Moreover, if I'm not mistaken, that kid seems to have obtained the power of the holy totem Suzaku clan. Several people were shocked again when they heard the news. As for the totem beast, they are naturally very clear. But 1,000 years ago, it is true that the totem was the umbrella of human protection, but driving the totem and obtaining the totem power was almost unthinkable. At most, it was some blessings from the totem beast. Leo Jiang, I think you think too much. Although this kid is not polite, I believe he will not refuse to contribute to the country. Moreover, if it doesn't work at that time, you can let your daughter come with you. In this case, he will definitely be able to self-face. Hua Zhenhang continued. Although he had not met Tang Mao a few times, but Hua Zhenhang knew him quite well. Jiang Xianyuan's face darkened. When did he need to rely on his daughter to do things? AI Junhua was also a little embarrassed. After all, there was something he had to do. Don't look at me like that. I don't have a daughter, otherwise I would have to arrange one for him. Hua Zhenhang continued. Although it is a 1-to-1 system these days, how can a successful man not have a few outstanding women behind him? Anyway, he has no daughter, it's just talking, and he will definitely not have back pain when standing and talking. After a moment of silence, Hua Zhenhang said impatiently, is it possible or not? You two give me a word. The sea monster is rampant now, and we don't know how many men will be killed and injured if we stay here for a few minutes. Okay, I'll call Zhu and ask him to bring Tang Mao here. Jiang Xianyuan thought so and agreed. In this situation, time is indeed the most expensive to waste. Moreover, this time is the meeting of the 5 military leaders. Of course, we can't waste time on silence. Yuxu City. It took 2 full days for Tang Mao to recover. He could have recovered in 1 day, but who would have thought that Ding Yumian would come? This girl seemed to have been depressed for too long, and her fighting power was very fierce. In the end, his already weak body became even weaker. But she hadn't left yet, and when Ding Yumian's indifferent temperament recovered, she saw this scene, and almost fought with Tang Mao. But because of this, Tang Mao gave her some education again. He really just wanted to educate her at first. But how to say it, different souls have different tastes. So, after recovering, it took 2 full days. Tang Mao just left the room, and was about to call Fei Lian to Hang how to deal with the shark people. He happened to see Jiang Xiaoxu coming towards him. Where are you going? Jiang Xiaoxu was no longer as charming as before, and did not tease him. Instead, he asked nervously, I'm going to Hangzhou. Tang Mao responded truthfully. Seeing her like this, he asked again, what's wrong with you? What happened? My dad wants to see you. Jiang Xiaoxu said after a moment of silence. Why does your dad want to see me? If it were in the past, he was really afraid that Jiang Xiaoxu's father would see him to castrate him. But now, Tang Mao is not panicking at all. He has made such a great contribution, even Jiang Xiaoxu's father has to give him some face. Moreover, Jiang Xiaoxu himself said that his father agreed to them being together. The most important thing is that they now have a certificate. Although it is not in China, how do I know? Are you going? Jiang Xiaoxu pouted. Go, of course. How can I not go? Then go see your father first. Where is he? Tang Mao asked. The girl has been following me since the national government. How can I not go to see my father-in-law? In the central part, Jiang Xiaoxu said. Tang Mao nodded, then hugged Jiang Xiaoxu in his arms, and tore a space crack with his hand. You. Jiang Xiaoxu was slightly stunned when he saw this. This is my space door, don't be too nervous. Tang Mao explained. After he finished speaking, he wrapped a layer of silver light around Jiang Xiaoxu, and then took her into it. The next moment, the crack disappeared. Back Mountain Hall. After sensing the fluctuations in space and the induction with Tang Mao, Ali was slightly stunned. What's wrong? Yushishi was telling her how to raise the little spirit moth, and asked in confusion. That's right, even the nine-tailed fox emperor likes these little things very much. It was mainly stimulated by Apis. If she can raise such a small pet, why can't she raise it herself? That dead man has left the city, and he hasn't called us to go with him. Ali responded. You are an emperor, and you are in Yuxu City, and you won't be in any danger. Is it necessary to call you to leave together? Apis said. This emperor doesn't want to follow him, but I'm worried that he will be beaten to death and harm this emperor. Ali said this satisfiedly. His current strength is not inferior to yours at all. Apis continued. She still disliked this stinky fox who had to raise a pet like herself. In fact, in Apis's opinion, Ali was not as cute as Xiaolingling. HMPH. Ali was a little unhappy when she heard this. This damn man, he simply wanted to conquer her. Why did he improve so fast, making her want to resign herself to her fate? HMPH. Apis also turned her head to the side. Anyway, she was unhappy with the stinky fox. Seeing this, Yushishi felt helpless. She was also full of complaints about Tang Mao in her heart. This African snake and Kunlun fox were more terrifying than each other. While let them roam freely. Look how scared these little moths were. Chapter 820 Meeting. In the central meeting room. Report. Come in. Jiang Shianyuan, who was discussing future plans with the 4 bosses in the southeast, northwest, and northeast, responded when he heard the arrival of the guard. After seeing the person coming in, he wondered, what happened? Why are you so nervous? Military chief. Sky. There is a crack in the sky. The guard said with some surprise. Upon hearing this, several big men stood up immediately. A crack in space? They have never heard of such a thing. Immediately, they stood up and walked outside. When they walked out, they saw Tang Mao hugging Jiang Shaoxu out of the crack. When they saw the two, Jiang Shianyuan and Ai Junhua were both dumbfounded. Both of them have forbidden spells in their space system, but it took more than 10 minutes to tear a space thousands of miles away, and they arrived. It was a bit outrageous. Several people were equally shocked when they saw Tang Mao walking out. This is simply incomparable even to the space formation. In the sky, after Tang Mao appeared, he was surrounded by military mages. The auras of these military mages were all at the level of high-level mages. Moreover, in terms of strength, they should all be top-level high-level mages. Looking at Uaz and Han among the people who appeared on the ground, he immediately guessed the identities of the others. But, isn't this to meet the father-in-law today? Why are all 5 of you here? Although he was very confused, Tang Mao still took a step forward. The next moment, he came in front of the big guys. As for the cracks in the air, they also dissipated immediately, and the mages surrounding them suddenly discovered that Tang Mao had disappeared. On the ground, seeing Tang Mao suddenly appear in front of the big guys, the guards stepped forward one by one. What? Seeing this, Tang Mao asked with some dissatisfaction, are you guys joining the Magic Association? If the people in front of him were not the 5 of them, Tang Mao would have taken action just for this action. Jiang Shaoxu also looked at Jiang Shianyuan questioningly and said, Dad, what do you mean? Huaz and Hong, who was the first to come back to his senses, hurriedly said, what are you doing? This kid is Tang Mao, what are you doing? He knew that in this situation, if he didn't explain it quickly, who knew if this bastard would suddenly attack? He was not afraid of death, but he couldn't die in vain in a misunderstanding, and die in the hands of his own people. After hearing the word Tang Mao, the guards were all stunned, and then they immediately retreated, and looked very respectful. This made Tang Mao a little confused. Ahem. Jiang Shianyuan also reacted. The scene was somewhat embarrassing, but he still explained, you rash boy, you suddenly appeared in front of us. Of course they will be very nervous. Tang Mao thought about it, and seemed to be right. But he didn't say anything. If he admitted his mistake at this time, who knew what kind of tricks these old guys would come up with? Okay, come in first. Jiang Shianyuan continued. Tang Mao nodded, but did not go first. Instead, he said, you are all elders, so you should go in first. Ai Junhua was quite satisfied with this. Then several people went in first, followed by Tang Mao and Jiang Shaoxu. The guards outside began to discuss quietly after Tang Mao went in. Oh my god, this kid is Tang Mao, he is so young. I really didn't expect that the person who gave us the method of fusion is so young. Did you feel it just now? His aura is so strong. Nonsense, have you ever seen someone walk out of a space crack? The guards praised Tang Mao one by one, and he could naturally hear what these people said clearly. Now, he was relieved. Obviously, it was a misunderstanding just now. After arriving at the meeting room, the 5 people sat in their respective seats, and he sat opposite Jiang Shianian. "You guys are here to find me, what's the matter?" Tang Mao was confused, but after thinking about it, he added, "If you want me to surrender to the Magic Association or bow my head, don't say anything." When they heard this, they were all upset. They could see that this kid didn't take the Magic Association seriously at all. But think about it, 7 forbidden spells, 6 dead and 1 injured. This Magic Association is nothing worth his attention. But doesn't Tang Mao know? Behind this Magic Association, there are the Holy City Angels. However, how could they know that he, who knew that the Angels' magic was not a big deal to the Black Dragon, didn't take the Holy City one seriously at all? Tang Kid, today I asked you to come here, which is indeed related to this matter, but it's not all about this matter. Huaz and Hang and Tang Mao were familiar with each other, so he spoke first. Jiang Shianian said directly, "Your fire system can resist this sudden cold. Can you expand the area?" When Tang Mao heard this, he immediately understood why they were all here and called him, and immediately responded, "Of course it can, but this thing consumes too much energy." He was not lying, nor did he not want to do it, but it really consumed too much energy. For a place as small as Yuxu City, it takes a day to recover after completing the fire protection. The whole of China is so big, if it is to protect one city after another, I don't know how long it will take. So, he really can't take this job. Hearing what Tang Mao said, several people's eyes lit up. They all knew that the consumption was true. After all, it could raise the temperature of an area to a suitable place for food survival. If it didn't consume at all, wouldn't this guy be a god? They were only afraid that he would say no. Tang Kid, you also know the current situation. Although this will consume more energy for you, how much food you can produce in Zucheng in just 1 month is related to the life and death of many people in the country. So we hope that you can use this formation in more areas. Only in this way can we have the confidence to fight a protracted war with the sea monster, said Huaz and Han. Among these people here, although 2 of them are Tang Mao's father-in-law, the only one who is really familiar with him is Huaz and Han. The person who spoke at this time was naturally him. This, Tang Kid, don't rush to refuse. I think you should have reached the state of perfection in more than one department now, right? As long as you can set up a few more production areas, we think we can provide you with a core of the earth. AI Junhur interrupted him and continued. Chapter 821, The Core of the Earth. The Core of the Earth. Upon hearing these 4 words, Tang Mao couldn't hold back his excitement. He knew very well what this thing represented. Although his fire system had been upgraded to the forbidden spell, and even obtained the power of the Suzaku clan, it surpassed the forbidden spell. But who in this world can refuse another forbidden spell? Who wouldn't want to become stronger? Are you sure? Tang Mao asked in disbelief. Of course, if you can solve the temperature problem, it is equivalent to solving the food problem. This will not only increase the morale of our country, but also give the people hope. I believe Xiao Zeng and his side will not reject our proposal. Jiang Shianian replied. His expression was very serious, and there was no joke at all. Moreover, discuss with Xiao Zeng. This world is not ruled by civil officials. Moreover, even if it is a civil official, he needs strength. To put it bluntly, this is a world of warriors. The 5 military bosses are almost the top of the entire country. Can they escape the decision made by the 5 of them? Okay, I can promise you. But it is indeed very consuming, and you have to arrange enough fire mages to release the energy of the fire element every day at the points I have arranged. Tang Mao thought for a while and said, it is naturally impossible to complete a formation like the one in Yuxu City in every place. The most important thing is that he needs to replenish energy on time, which is a troublesome thing. But making a foundation and having the fire mages complete the condensation of the fire element on time every day, that is naturally the best. Ordinary fire mages? AI Junhur asked. Yes, ordinary fire mages, even mid-level mages, are enough. Then how large an area can you complete? Jiang Shianian asked. Tang Mao came to the map of China, pointing to the Suzhou Hangzhou area, even covering Jiangxi and Fujian. These are all I can complete, and it should take 3 days. Tang Mao responded. But, when they heard that it only took 3 days to complete the formation in so many places, the big guys couldn't stop smiling happily. Then you can complete it. We will arrange for someone to deliver the Earth Core to your Yuxu city. Jiang Xianyuan continued. Okay, without further ado, I will leave you the next steps. You arrange the staff and I will set off to arrange it today. After Tang Mao finished speaking, he wrote down everything that these fire mages needed to do and handed it to Jiang Xianyuan, and then left with Jiang Xiaoxu. Looking at the hurried Tang Mao, Yenhua sighed. This kid Tang is really good. It seems that he is also very active in contributing to the country. Oh, old Yin, you think too much. If there is no Earth Core, this kid may make all kinds of excuses. Hua Zhenhang said with a sneer. Several people thought about it. It seems to be true. However, even if the Earth Core is building a city, it has no great effect on the current situation. Besides, Tang Mao's increased strength is also a good thing for the whole of China. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell this kid that those angels are still plotting against him. Jiang Xianyuan suddenly thought of something and continued. Hua Zhenhang shook his head and said in a calm voice, I think it's better not to tell him first. He should have thought of these when he took action against the Magic Association. Besides, as long as it's in our country, even if it's an angel, what can it do? Angels have absolute suppression of forbidden spells. Old Hua, I know that you have fusion magic, and your strength has reached a higher level. But the angels have been in charge of the human world for many years, so they can't be underestimated. AI Junhua persuaded. It should be said that Hua Zhenhang is really a little bit arrogant at the moment. There is no way. The mastery of fusion magic is also different for different people. After he mastered it perfectly, his strength has not only increased several times, but more than 10 times. With his current strength, it is not a big problem to kill an orthodox emperor. Humph, I'm not the only one who is dissatisfied with the angels. The leaders of the other countries have also been dissatisfied for a long time. Moreover, I believe that with their respective intelligence strengths, they will always know something about the Alps. Hua Zhenhang continued. Let's wait and see. When Tang Mao took the confused Jiang Xiaoxu away and arrived in Suzhou, she finally reacted. Her father asked her to take Tang Mao back. There was nothing to say. Instead, he specifically looked for Tang Mao. The most important thing is that it was not for his own business. It's outrageous. Why are you in a daze? Seeing Jiang Xiaoxu thinking all the way, Tang Mao asked. Nothing. I just feel like I'm going to leak air. Jiang Xiaoxu pouted and hummed in dissatisfaction. He didn't care about this inexplicable woman. Instead, he went to complete what he should complete. The flames soared into the sky, and in an instant, the temperature here immediately felt like it was rising. This was just Tang Mao's unilateral release, and it had already achieved such an effect. In half an hour, he completed the first element gathering place, and then rushed to the second place. At the end of the day, Tang Mao completed a total of 20 places, and it was at this time that he met the municipal officials here. Tang Mao did not explain anything to them. After all, Hua Zhenhang and others had already explained what they should explain. His fire magic power was almost exhausted, so he took Jiang Xiaoxu back to rest. After a day of rest, he continued to complete the remaining work on the third day. Because of the sufficient magic power, the expansion area also expanded to Shandong and Anhu. With such a large area of food production, plus the domestic tropical areas, there is no need to worry about food shortages. After returning to Yuxu City, it was already the 4th day. The core of the earth with huge energy was also sent here. Muningsu asked in confusion, our Yuxu City is already safe enough, why do we need this core of the earth? She was a little puzzled. Muningsu naturally knew what Tang Mao had done recently, because the official news had been released. It was also because of this that many mages in Yuxu City came to join in recently. Tang Mao immediately explained Muningsu's doubts. To advance to a higher level, you need the veins of the galaxy. To advance to a super level, you need the veins of the Sea of Stars. To advance to the forbidden spell, you need the core of the earth that can build a city. So, do you understand now why I want this core of the earth? P.S. The timeline of the original work is like Conan's timeline. There was nothing wrong with it, but Ling Ling had to awaken magic, so the protagonist had to be younger. Chapter 822 Ding Yumian's dual personality. This. Muningsu was stunned for a moment, then said, no wonder the forbidden spells are so rare. Yes, because the birth of a forbidden spell means that a city needs to be consumed. Tang Mao nodded and said, however, the forbidden spells are not only advanced by relying on the core of the earth. This kind of thing is so rare that naturally not everyone can get it. It's just that, no matter what it is, it requires extremely huge energy. Just like my fire system, the reason why I can surpass the level that others may find difficult to surpass in their lifetime is because of the energy of the holy totem Suzaku and its totem beasts. Tang Mao continued. Muningsu really thought that only the core of the earth could break through, and she felt that her forbidden spells were hopeless. And when she heard about the totem beast, she felt even more hopeless. No matter how good the talent is, without enough resources, everything is useless. The threshold of the high level is still fresh in Muningsu's memory. A higher level is like this, let alone the forbidden spells. Don't be so depressed. Your ice element is unique. With my power, you have a chance to break through the forbidden spell. Tang Mao said meaningfully. Muningsu's icy face flushed again. Even though they were already familiar with each other, she still felt uncomfortable. But after hearing this news, she was not so confused. Because Tang Mao never lied to her about cultivation. Since he said that he could cross, then he could cross. Okay, I'm going to break through. After that, it's time to deal with the group of ignorant sea monsters around. Yeah. Muningsu responded softly and left. As soon as she left, Tang Mao had no time to do anything. Ding Yumian sneaked in. Of course, Tang Mao could be sure that this was not the indifferent Ding Yumian when he saw this outfit. Even if the little girl accepted the relationship with Tang Mao, she would never dress like this. This angel suit. The forbidden spells suddenly didn't work. Damn it, what are you looking at? Upon hearing the charming voice of the alternative Ding Yumian, Tang Mao stood up decisively, bent down, and hugged her petite body. He said very seriously, you little goblin, you occupy my woman's body all day long. Let's see how I deal with you today. Hey, then I want to see your strength, the alternative Ding Yumian said very cooperatively. Rough. Who can stand this? Originally, he wanted to control the angel's wings, but she just catered to his preferences. Although it's not a real angel's wings, what does it matter? Even Ashurua has never had such wings. Moreover, this alternative Ding Yumian is really amazing. The next day a loud voice came from Tang Mao's room. What are you arguing about? Tang Mao, who was confused, didn't know what happened at all, and heard someone shouting in his ear. Why am I here? Ding Yumian asked blankly. Unfortunately, Tang Mao seemed to be too tired from setting up the formation, and had no intention of responding. Although the normal Ding Yumian was indifferent, she was not a fool. How could she not notice that something was wrong with her recent changes in the pair of holy wings beside her? Tang Mao. Tang Mao. Hearing her continuous shouting, Tang Mao had to open her eyes. What happened to me recently? Ding Yumian looked at the man who always appeared in front of her every time she lost consciousness and asked. It's nothing serious, it's just that you have feelings for me, and you, who originally suppressed deep in your heart and had another emotion, have been released. Tang Mao thought about it and told her the truth. Another me. Ding Yumian directly ignored the word feelings and asked blankly. Another you, or your other thoughts and emotions. You also know your abilities. The reason why I don't feel anything is because you have been suppressed for these years. Tang Mao said again. Then what about me? Ding Yumian was a little stunned. This news was really a bit sudden. She didn't know how to face it. And just when she was wondering, she felt After the morning exercise, the two of them went to do their own things. Tang Mao also set up a space barrier and then began to absorb the core of the earth. Under his barrier, naturally no one could step in and disturb him. And while he was practicing, Eri walked in without paying any attention. There was no way, as a summoned pet that was one with him, it would naturally ignore this kind of barrier. When she saw Tang Mao absorbing the energy of the core of the earth there, she was also slightly stunned. Because while absorbing the energy, his body was already covered with lightning. The power of this lightning seemed to be constantly changing? Question mark? Is it going to be promoted? Eri looked for a moment and muttered in surprise. Although the speed of human cultivation is faster than that of monsters. But this speed is not so fast, right? This is the real soaring up to 90,000 miles. After being shocked, Eri looked at the purple and intimidating divine thunder and seemed to have thought of something and then turned into a white 8-tailed snow fox. Now her strength has been restored to the emperor stage, and even when the 9th tail grows out completely, its strength will be fully restored. But according to Tang Mao's situation, it will take at least 100 days of uninterrupted time. This time is too long. The moment she saw the divine thunder, Eri immediately noticed that it was to share some of the power of the divine thunder. In fact, Eri herself has not tried this method, and it is just a memory in her mind. Unfortunately, this kind of thunder has never appeared in this world. So she wants to take a risk. Maybe she will be severely injured by this thunder, but she can be sure that as his contract pet, she feels that she will not die. Once successful, she will not only be able to recover as before, but even her own strength will be improved. Moving to Tang Mao's side, Eri's 8 tails began to absorb the thunder power scattered around. As soon as the thunder entered the body, the numb feeling was like a familiar and favorite feeling, and it seemed that there was no damage. Chapter 823 Help Ling Ling guide her natural talent. Eri felt that she had made the right bet. Not only did the thunder not mean to hurt her, but it also began to help her recover. Even, the divine thunder seemed to be strengthening her physical hardness. Just as she absorbed the power of thunder to recover herself, and Tang Mao advanced, Apis walked in, as if nothing had happened. When she saw Tang Mao practicing there, and the dead fox was staying beside him obediently, she was a little curious. It was not until Eri's 9 tails were restored that she realized that this damn stinky fox didn't even call her to join him when there was a benefit. Unfortunately, when the 9-tailed fox recovered, the energy of the core of the earth had been completely absorbed into Tang Mao's body. There was no riot like the fire system before, and the whole person was unusually quiet. It was as if the breakthrough failed. Eri also restored her human form at this moment. You stupid fox, do you know what you were doing just now? If my control was a little worse, you would have been useless just now. Tang Mao calmed down for a while and immediately scolded. That is to say, his control is strong enough, otherwise, her suicidal behavior just now was really seeking death. Even though she was one with him, the power of the purple sky divine thunder, after it surpassed the forbidden spell, was the real divine thunder. Even some ancient monsters could not withstand the thunder. Ali was scolded, but she was not angry. Instead, she stretched out her white arms and wrapped them around his neck. Thank you. Her eyes were very sincere, just like when Apis obeyed her. Okay. Seeing that the little fox had completely surrendered, he was very unhappy, but it disappeared at this time. Don't be so reckless next time. Tang Mao muttered. Then he felt that this fox still needed to be taught a lesson, because there was no trace of repentance in her watery eyes. Apis was very unhappy. The benefits were not obtained, and now this dead fox is still in front of her? And this damn servant, shouldn't he comfort her first? Question mark? I won't go into detail about the untold story between Tang Mao and the contracted beast. See, the establishment of the fire barrier has completely eliminated the cold frost that used to blow from the coast at night. The damp and icy places on the streets of the Magic City have also completely disappeared. Everything in the Magic City seems to have returned to normal. Although some things have not changed, some things have changed because of Tang Mao's appearance. For example, Xiao Zheng is still in his prime and the top leader of China. There are also things that have not changed, such as the marriage between the Mu family and the Bei family. For example, the candidate for the goddess is also about to begin, and she herself has recently come to China. It is also because of her arrival that Emofan, the dog, is no longer fighting against sea monsters in various places and rushed to Hangzhou. Similarly, this year Ling Ling has reached the age of awakening magic. The timeline is too confusing, so for Ling Ling I changed the protagonist's age to 26. Don't complain, you can look at this timeline from the beginning to the end. As an old partner, Tang Mao naturally chose to awaken with Ling Ling and did not go to the Mu family to care about their affairs. Anyway, they are just in contact now. Lingling's awakening was held in Yuxu City. Because she knew that Lingling was going to awaken magic, Apis, who yearned for magic, also wanted to awaken together. He originally refused this little snake girl who was over the age. But Apis said that she could also be 16 years old. Not to mention, in addition to the figure that crushed Lingling speechless, she really looked like a high school girl. So, Tang Mao agreed. Someone originally suggested that Lingling guide the awakening. But Tang Mao felt that, whether it was guided or awakened directly, it was actually the same. There is indeed no strong or weak between the magic systems, it's just different in the early stages. The day before awakening. Tang Mao, are you really going to let me awaken at will? Lingling pouted, somewhat dissatisfied. She wanted to awaken the lightning element in her first system. After all, how powerful the lightning element is in the early stages of killing monsters and demons. It is hard to imagine that such a pure little Lalita is actually so irritable in her heart. Tang Mao held her in his arms. Unknowingly, Lingling has grown up. I think there is nothing wrong with awakening the first system at will, and what if there is a natural talent? No matter how good the theory is, it is not one's own strength after all. Tang Mao explained. Don't touch me. Lingling stared at Tang Mao with her big eyes, but her resistance was obviously not very great, and then she said like a spoiled child, but I really want to awaken the lightning element, ignorant little girl. It's just a magic system. Awakening is all fate, and it's not up to you to decide. Look at me, your sister. I don't worry about awakening anything. As long as I can awaken, it's a good thing. Apis leaned aside and said. Shut up, stinky snake. Lingling was a little dissatisfied. Can the two of them be the same? If she wants to become powerful, she can only rely on magic. Even if the snake girl doesn't have magic, isn't she still powerful? HMPH. The two girls still haven't changed their habit of quarreling when they are together. Tang Mao was too lazy to explain anything, and with the taste of youth, he waited for a few years, and he felt that it was enough. Don't make trouble, I'm telling you. Lingling originally wanted to correct Tang Mao's thoughts, but she suddenly realized that something was wrong? Unfortunately, when she wanted to leave, it was too late, little darling. Before awakening magic, I want to help you guide your natural talent, Tang Mao said softly. No, I don't want natural talent. Lingling, it's actually very fun. Apis looked at the nervous look of little Lingling and said with a sly smile. This little girl always sees herself making a fool of herself. How can she stand idly by when she has such a good opportunity today? Poor little Lingling, she has just grown up and has already experienced the dangers of society. Tang Mao also taught her a lesson clearly, but compared to the initial resistance, she got used to it afterwards. It seems that following Tang Mao for these years, she has also understood the true appearance of this world. Guiding natural talent is a very time-consuming operation. With the help of Apis, the master and servant helped Lingling awaken all night long. The next morning, as the only relative, Lingling knew that Lingling was going to awaken and rushed to Yuxu City early in the morning. However, it was not Lingling who picked her up today, but Tang Mao. It seems that, because it took a long time to awaken her natural talent, Lingling is still groggy now. Lingling, long time no see, come and hug. As soon as he came out, Tang Mao pulled the other party into his arms. I don't know if it was a hug out of friendship or something else. Lingling naturally did not refuse Tang Mao's hug. To be honest, her life was saved by this man. But when did friends hug each other and move their mouths? Chapter 824, Natural Spirit Seed. Tang Mao, you've gone too far. Lingling blushed and said dissatisfiedly. He also felt that he had gone too far, but for some reason, he just helped his sister awaken her talent, and he couldn't help himself when he saw his sister. It's been a long time since we last met. Are you okay? As a man with a face as thick as a city wall, he simply ignored what happened just now, and this was not the first time. What about Lingling? Although Lingling was a little angry, she knew that if she argued with Tang Mao, she would only be angry with herself, so she endured it. Maybe it's because she was too excited yesterday and fell asleep. Tang Mao thought about the petite and cute Lingling, and a trace of tenderness appeared in her eyes. Because of what happened just now, Lingling didn't observe Tang Mao too much. The main thing was that she didn't want to provoke Tang Mao, because she knew that her sister was probably being stared at by this dead man. As a sister, she naturally couldn't get involved casually, even if Tang Mao was very good. The two came to the villa area of Yuxu City Lord, where stones for awakening magic had been arranged. They were all unused. With his current situation, it would not be difficult for him to get some of these things. Although this was just an ordinary awakening, many people came because Lingling and Apis were together. Even Yushishi, who rarely appeared here, came here. Yushishi also yearned for magic, but unfortunately she didn't have this opportunity when she was old enough, and there was no need to think about it later. Her special body and some of her own talents destined her to not become a magician. It was not until 9 o'clock, when everyone was present, that Lingling and Apis, the two little beauties, came out together. I don't know why the two little girls who usually quarreled when they met were actually quite good today. Question mark? Apis was the first to awaken, and her first department was the plant department, without any changes. Just like Lingling said, for Apis, it didn't matter what magic department it was. She mainly wanted a magic department, and then wanted to experience the happiness of a human academy in addition to her bloodline. She was a person herself. After Apis awakened, Lingling began to awaken. I don't know if the guidance last night was successful, or what. The moment Lingling placed her hand on the awakening stone, a chill immediately hit her face. This chill was not unfamiliar to Tang Mao and Mu Ningxu either. Xianshan Shengling Seed. Mu Linsheng, the chief steward, exclaimed after seeing Lingling awaken. Everyone then realized that this was indeed the natural spiritual seed ice. Why do I feel that Lingling's spiritual ice seems to have the same feeling as Tang Mao and Mu Ningxu's ice? Zhao Manian, who was nearby, was stunned and said. As Zhao Manian spoke, several people looked at it more carefully. Although the power of this spiritual seed ice is more than 100 times different from the power of the ice seed in their bodies, the feeling is indeed exactly the same. Lingling herself was also quite surprised, and turned her head to look at Tang Mao in a daze. To be honest, she almost believed that Tang Mao was helping her guide her natural talent yesterday! Exclamation mark. Mu Ningxu also looked at Tang Mao with doubt at this time, and Lingling walked a little awkwardly when she came today. Question mark? There was some doubt, and it was an extremely contemptuous look of doubt. In this regard, Tang Mao simply ignored it. At night, Tang Mao, were you really helping me awaken my natural talent last night? Lingling had been holding back for a whole day with this little question. There was no time during the day, so at night, she tricked Jiang Huli, who was going to find Tang Mao away, and took up the land, before she had the opportunity to ask. Of course not, but you can get my ice. It should be related to the ice attribute in your body, right? If the quality is not good, you can't get it. It can be regarded as a coincidence. Tang Mao responded truthfully. The little loli had been eaten clean, so of course he didn't need to lie anymore. Humph, bad guy. When she heard that it was not true, Zhao Lingling was immediately unhappy. After all, she was still thinking about awakening a thunder system in the second system. Well, even now, she still has a heart of violent output. Don't be unhappy. Although my ice system output is not very strong, it is only because of the way it is cultivated. After reaching a high level, how each magic system is used depends on oneself. Look at Zhao Manian. The light system has been cultivated for defense until now. Lingling thought about it, and felt the same. Okay, then I'll go back. After getting what she wanted to ask, she was ready to leave. It was as if she had put on her pants, and didn't recognize anyone. Tang Mao, how could she let her leave like this? Apis has already gone to study magic theory, and the nine-tailed fox has fallen into a deep sleep since that day. If she is called out for this matter, she will probably have to swallow it in one bite, right? TSK, this risk is too great. Although the healing magic in this world is powerful, this problem is not a problem. But how can the rescued one be as real as the original one? So, you want to run? No way. Oh, I still have to practice in the dark. Lingling was a little amused by Tang Mao, and said with her little hand, Haven't you heard of double cultivation? Tang Mao said very seriously. Go, do you think this is a novel, you shameless bastard? After 7 or 8 days of debauchery, Tang Mao was corrected back to normal time by the attack of a large number of sea monsters in the East China Sea. For this sea monster army that is coming to invade the Magic City, he should have fought heroically with Ding Yumian. Although doing so is indeed the greatest victory in exchange for the smallest casualties. But as a man, how can he let his woman commit suicide in exchange for victory? Not to mention that Ding Yumian already belongs to him. Even if the two of them are just simple acquaintances, Tang Mao will not allow such a thing to happen. Early in the morning, he brought Ding Yumian to an unknown reef island in the ocean. As for why he brought her along, it was because he wanted to tell her something through this incident. The sea monster may be very powerful, but in front of him, the invading sea monster army is not a dish at all. Even if they haven't attacked yet, Tang Mao has already brought her here. What are you bringing me here for? Ding Yumian looked at Tang Mao puzzled. I brought you here to tell you a fact, and I'll agree to any academy you want to go to. Tang Mao responded softly. Really? She didn't care much about the facts Tang Mao said. Instead, it was Tang Mao's later words that made her look up at him, and she felt a rare sense of excitement. She had long wanted to see the tranquility of the ice and snow of the Alpine Academy, to appreciate the solemnity of the European Academy, and to experience the romance and luxury of the Holy Academy of Ohos. She thought she would be locked up in the golden cage of Yuxu City for the rest of her life, but she didn't expect that Tang Mao would agree to let her go outside. Have I ever lied to you about anything? Ding Yumian shook her head, but she was puzzled. Tang Mao had not allowed her to go anywhere before, so why did he change his mind now? Don't look at me like that. Your other personality can protect you, so you can go wherever you want. Chapter 825. Tens of thousands of people are killed in a wave of the hand. While the two of them were talking, the waves were no longer calm. The wind was blowing, the waves were rolling, and the powerful demonic energy continued to cover the area. However, Tang Mao didn't feel anything at all. Ding Yumian didn't feel anything, because she was leaning on Tang Mao's arms. The Siren army that threatened the base city of the Demon City had been ready to move for a long time, but they didn't expect that before they moved, a human would come to their territory. How could the rampant Siren army tolerate this? The ocean gods have decided to launch a full-scale attack on the Chinese coastline. At this time, the appearance of a human is not a provocation. Tang Mao, they are coming. There are so many of them. As the Siren Corps approached, even in Tang Mao's arms, Ding Yumian could feel the mysterious aura of the sea monsters. Tang Mao touched her head soothingly, and then said in a light voice, Shadow Evil, your dark army hasn't been displayed for a long time, since the trip to Asia. Let them come out, and enjoy the feast. As Tang Mao finished speaking, a giant black shadow emerged from behind. The black shadow was naturally the Lord of Shadow Evil. Although the souls and power of the 6 forbidden spells did not increase its dark army much, it made its strength leap to the realm of Pseudo-Emperor in one fell swoop. Even, faintly, the Lord of Shadow Evil felt that he was going to restore his original strength. The moment Shadow Evil appeared, the turbulent ocean was immediately covered by a dark area. In the dark area, the Dark War generals appeared in batches. They lined up neatly, 10 legions. Each legion had nearly 1,000 people. And there were thousands of commanding legions in the front. However, they did not launch an attack immediately, because Tang Mao did not let them move. Even the Shadow Evil Lord stood obediently behind, motionless. Tang Mao's eyes were dark at this time, and the dark energy around him continued to condense. When the Siren Corps stepped into the dark area, he raised one hand slightly. Shadow Evil Dark River. The place covered by the dark area was originally controlled by a limited area, but with Tang Mao's move, this huge sea area seemed to be covered by the dark power controlled by Tang Mao in an instant. When the darkness stirred up the sea and turned the sea siren army dizzy, the clear sky also became dark. Here, it became chaotic in an instant. Chaos dark sword rain. Chaos whirlpools appeared one by one, and black long swords fell into them like raindrops, and then whoosh 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 from above the dark area, falling as fast as raindrops. Puff puff puff. Tens of thousands of sea monsters. Almost none of them survived in the sword rain that lasted for more than 10 minutes, and the remaining sea monsters who were not dead were also frightened at this time. Go. At this time, Tang Mao did not continue to attack, and the Shadow Evil Lord immediately took the order. At this time, the Dark Army also rushed to the sea. In this world, the ocean is indeed vast and the combat power of these sea monsters in the sea is indeed very strong. The power of the sea is unimaginable. But does the power of human beings have to stand still? Ding Yumian stared blankly at the scene in front of her. This is simply a wave of the hand to destroy tens of thousands of sea monsters. Even if she hadn't been standing next to Tang Mao, she didn't think Tang Mao had taken action. Was that fusion magic just now? Ding Yumian came back to her senses, but was still a little surprised, looking at Tang Mao and asked, "Yes, this is fusion magic. Why? I feel that your fusion magic is different from what we control." As a member of Yuxu City, Ding Yumian is naturally equipped with fusion magic. However, even after fusion, the power of magic has increased several times. But it definitely can't achieve the effect in front of her. But slowly she accepted this reality. If everyone has the strength of Tang Mao, what is the matter with demons in this world? After Tang Mao took action, the Dark Army lasted for only an hour, and the Siren Army that threatened the base city of the Magic City was completely annihilated here. Even looking from the sea wall of the Magic City, you can see that on the vast sea, the bodies of sirens are floating on it, densely packed and deadly. However, these sirens are very tragic. After death, their souls are deprived, and they don't even have the opportunity to transform into undead. After the battle, Tang Mao took Ding Yumian away. The darkness also completely dissipated after the two of them left, as if it had never appeared. After the Ocean Alliance, which was established for the other sea monsters, received the news, it immediately sent people to confirm. When they saw the bodies in the sea in the distance, they were shocked. What was even more surprising was that the guards on the embankment saw two young men and women. The matter was immediately reported to the higher authorities. Tang Mao took Ding Yumian back to Yuxu City and then received a call from Xiao Zheng. "Tang Mao, did you kill the sea monster army in the sea outside the base city of Modu?" Xiao Zheng's surprised voice came from the phone. It seems that there are not many things that can surprise him, but today's events really shocked him. "Boss, you are so idle every day. Isn't it just to destroy a sea monster army outside the base city? There is not even an emperor here. What's so surprising?" Tang Mao said indifferently. "You know, the sea monsters are called the sea gods, and there are more than 10 emperors. But there is not even a single emperor threatening the base city of Modu. They are all scum. I don't know where the sea monster with the monstrous claws is hiding before." Tang Mao really wanted to pull it out and have a fight. He wanted to see if the sea monster monarch was stronger than the land monarch, and the sea monster emperor was also the same. Xiao Zheng was silent for a while. Speaking of it, he had never seen anyone who could pretend more than Tang Mao. However, he had a new refreshed understanding of Tang Mao's strength. Because he was busy with the coastline work, he didn't know about Tang Mao's recent affairs. It was only after receiving the report from the Ocean Alliance today that he thought of Tang Mao. "No matter what, I'm here to thank you on behalf of the people of the whole country." Xiao Zheng was very excited, and his joy came from the other side of the phone without any concealment. "It's okay, just do your thing, just find me if you have anything." Tang Mao was quite respectful to Xiao Zheng. After all, he was able to get a piece of land that belonged to him completely in Phenio City, and it was such a large area, thanks to Xiao Zheng. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.